and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and wow, Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Yeah. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and wow, Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike.
Good morning and welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It's Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer with you. Hot and wet, Happer and Schaefer, as we roll on into the summer months. I guess we don't have to really announce that it's summer every day anymore, and people just sort of get used to it. But the sky continues to look purple on the way in, which is fantastic. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we doing today?
Fantastic.
Doing well. Got a lot of sun yesterday. Good event out there at the Fremont Golf Club put on by Midland University.
Midland.
Had a wonderful time, even though our team never threatened unless there was a prize or a tier for, a flight, I guess is the right word looking for.
Yes.
For those who were just there to have fun. We would have been in contention.
Were you trying to contend?
No, we did not have the requisite
okay
players to be able to. I played the most golf out of the group that was there. I am someone who,
probably not
usually
great.
more of a bogey golf player. So we did not finish under in a scramble, which does not give you a chance to do anything.
It most certainly does not.
So there you have it.
I just wanted to make sure you had no illusions of competing.
No.
If you were,
it was not an
an
event. There are certain events that I play in where the team of which I'm playing with, the expectation is that, you're there to win it. And usually your play is kind of in line with
I've
that.
never won a golf tournament point blank period. Well, I mean individual golf tournaments. I've won 2 individual golf tournaments.
Sure.
But my teammates always drag me down. And so I never win golf tournaments.
So you've never won scramble?
I never won a scramble before. No. I've dreamed of winning a scramble all my life. Every year I dream of winning one golf scramble.
I
never win it because there's either dirty cheaters out there in the field or my teammates let me down.
Wait, Connor Stallings is there?
Yeah, exactly.
They're
stealing all sorts of things.
I played in an event that was put on by like the Nebraska Rec.
Oh yeah.
That we won with. It was at Newmark. We won with like a score of 14 or 15 under, and the next closest score was 6 under or something. And I don't even remember why we were in the event. Like, I think we got asked to help fill it out. And it was one of those days where, like, the guys that I were playing with, if they played individually, would have all shot in the 70s.
Yeah.
And I'm over here. It's like, oh, there's a drive.
Yeah.
There's a putt.
Did you look around? Did you scope out the field a little bit? And we're like, these guys are
in there,
slubs.
and it's at the end of it, and you're looking around, and it's like,
interesting.
I don't know if we're going to brag about this.
Why were we here?
Yeah. I don't remember why it was a one-time event. Normally this stuff I play in, it's like there's a connection to it for me. That was one of the most bizarre things. That's also when I bought the Ernie Els signed thing that I have that I still haven't hung.
Is it a picture?
Yeah, it's a 8x10, I think.
Incredible.
It's framed, and it was there was like a whole package because his foundation is Els for Autism.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So he had donated all of this, and so it was like a silent auction kind of thing, or no, it was a live auction kind of thing. I ended up winning it, but that's the only other thing I remember from that.
Folks, we love a golf tournament. Summer
Good
are
times.
sure signs that golf tournaments are coming around, or maybe it's vice versa as well. I would say be on the lookout for other golf tournaments that potentially could come your way at some point in
that's true.
the summer, which is when golf tournaments happen. So just be on the lookout for things like that. So it is a Tuesday as we inch closer and closer to the College World Series. We have 16 teams remaining, and some of them were not the teams that we were expecting.
No.
In fact,
Good.
we knew this. I guess we didn't know this for sure yesterday, but maybe it's not so much the teams that are in it, but it's like the path that they have taken to get here and the way that they either dominated the regional or came back from the regional. Yes, we have a Troy Little Rock, a Trojan off, if you will, in the regional there. That will be in Troy, hosted by Troy. We also have another Trojan in the Chapel Hill Super Regional. USC dominated Texas A&M last night on their home field, coming back as the one-loss team to win and advance to the Super Regional. We could have as many as 2 Trojans in the NCAA, in the College World Series. We have St. John's. Welcome to the Big East.
Honk, honk.
That's right. The Big East has arrived. St. John's sweeps their way through the Tallahassee Regional, and now we'll have to. I mean, St. John's goes all the way back to New York and then comes back to Alabama, I suppose, this weekend. Whatever it might be, but St. John's has reached the Super Regional, and then sadly, Milwaukee was not able to quite come through for us. They flamed out late yesterday against Auburn. It didn't quite have enough juice to win one more game and get into the Super and make it so Ole Miss hosts the Super. Instead, it will be Auburn and Ole Miss and SEC off in that regional down there. That is I guess there's 2. Usually there's probably 3 or 4 all SEC Supers. And in this case, there is only 2 this season, and there could be. There could be 5. There could be as few as 2.
Yep. You're guaranteed at least 2 SEC teams, as many as 5.
And there could be
the whole right side of the bracket 5. Could be SEC teams.
Is it 5? Let's see. Yep. 1, 2.
Yeah, you got
Texas,
Oklahoma,
Alabama. That's all right. They're gonna lose to John LeGrande.
Yeah, I already had
Adam Agresti and them boys.
I already have my perfect Connor World Series picked out for how I would want things arranged.
Yeah, there's some complications here. There's some potential complications.
Did you know 3 different teams lost on Friday and came back to win the regional?
Auburn's one of them.
Can you name them?
3 different teams lost in the opener and came back to win. USC.
It's one. Joey gave you another.
Say it again. Auburn. Yep. Auburn came back, and the other team to lose their opener was it Troy? No.
You got it.
Yeah. Wow. It was. Yeah, it was Troy. They lost to
all 3 on the left side of the draw going in a row.
They lost to Miami in their first game.
Yep.
Oh, ouch. I don't know I wonder what the stats on that would look like, you know?
I think it's pretty rare to get 3 teams to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's even more rare for a 3 seed to do it.
Yeah.
In Troy.
So altogether then, how many teams swept through? Georgia swept through, Mississippi State swept through, Oregon swept through, Texas swept through, Alabama swept through, St. John swept through, Kansas swept through, Oklahoma did not.
No.
Cal Poly swept through.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. West Virginia had a winner take all.
So then you had multiple teams that had to win twice. West Virginia, Oklahoma,
right?
Troy, Auburn, USC. So those are 5. I don't know that there's anybody that the right side of the bracket stayed relatively calm. It was the left side of the bracket that was chaos.
Yeah. Troy came back from a loss. Little Rock swept. Yeah. Little Rock did not. Dear God. North Carolina swept through. Yeah. USC did not. Ole Miss swept through. Auburn did not. So, okay. Yeah. It wasn't that crazy as far as comeback. So of the teams that lost in a regional game, 3 of them lost their opener.
Yeah.
And there's only 4 that made it to the Super by our count of what we just did. There you go. I wonder what the stats on that are. You hit up John Bishop for all of his spreadsheets.
Well, there had to have been 5 because both Oklahoma and West Virginia had to win twice. So I think it's 5.
That is right. It is 5. It is 5. Yes. I counted them as 1. So that is the Super 16 of the college baseball field. Coming up today on the show, we'll have our power rankings with tiers, where we will just power rank the remaining teams in the NCAA baseball tournament. So stay tuned for that. That is coming up at 7:25 today. Elsewhere on the show, Mitch Sherman will join and Jacob Adil will join as well. That is our lineup today. A lot of stuff to ask, but another I think well-placed guest day. Some big picture, athletic department year in review questions, I think, for Mitch, and then for Jacob, Creighton got to commit and more conversation about the NBA Finals.
That starts tomorrow night.
Which starts tomorrow night. Did somebody say schedules? Yes. When do the ref announcements come out? Tomorrow?
Yeah, at 8:00 in the morning. That's usually the case. You'll find them on the NBA's website.
We'll have to send an alarm out.
Do they release like a pool that the officials will come out of for the finals? Do you already know who
they should have released them. I could take a look.
No one needs to care about this.
Maybe there's some reporting done on it. Who will get the finals?
Oh yeah, no.
Usually NBA Communications does that. They will release the field of officials that are granted assignments in the finals.
Okay, we look forward to that. Maybe the NBA will do a schedule leak, an official leak today or something like that.
I'm not seeing anything at the moment.
Well, it's early. We'll see. Let's see what happens. That is our lineup today. Elsewhere today on the show, yes, we'll get into the absurdity of college baseball as it delivers again. And another baseball topic, we'll sort of look ahead for our local teams ahead to next year. There was a little bit of roster movement yesterday. There will be plenty, obviously, at Omaha with their new coach, and so we'll try and keep tabs on as much of that as we possibly can. But there was an announcement or two yesterday that may have come off as a bit surprising to folks, and so we will get to that. There was a couple major NFL trades yesterday, and those will be discussed today on the show. Maybe this is the day we get to the MLB definite lockout that is coming. It's definitely coming.
Yay!
Did you see the stat? I don't know if it was as much of a stat. What was it? It was something along the lines of they're further away than they were in '94 when there was the long strike, and I
think that was a conversation in ahead of 22. Was that the last year we had a
work stoppage?
A work stoppage. I mean, I think a lot of it is rhetoric until they, get closer to it.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It ruins everything for everyone.
They do seem far apart at the moment.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Mr. Momcilovic signs with, drumroll please, Kentucky for reportedly upwards of $6 million.
But not surprised.
Money.
You will never. Now, while I like Mr. Momcilovic, I am, and I do like Mark Pope to a certain extent as well. I am an anti-state of Kentucky basketball man for next year.
And I've realized something about myself.
Giant, bloated, overpaid rosters.
What's your problem with Western Kentucky, Connor?
Those guys are fine.
Okay,
it's just Kentucky and Louisville.
Okay.
I think I'm just
big
like
name brands,
anti-Kentucky and everything. I was rooting for West Virginia yesterday.
Yep.
I have long held I don't even know how you would explain it. I found a lot of the sort of excitement about Mark Stoops and Kentucky football to be incredibly dumb and misplaced because they never beat anyone that was good. And
that's over.
They would end up as like a top 12 team and go 5-4.
Schaefer, that's over. You don't have to deal with that anymore.
I know, but it's so annoying to me. And there's nothing.
It was annoying.
I don't have any like real reason to dislike Kentucky, but there's something about it where it seems like I just don't like anything that they do ever.
Okay. Interesting.
Like ever.
All right. So you're going to join me on the Kentucky hating train.
Oh, yeah. No, I think
there.
I was already there. It's just more fully discovered when I found and this is the same thing a couple years ago when it was Oregon State and Kentucky in a super regional, I think. And I was very much rooting for Oregon State. Now, I was pretty sure Cleveland was going to take Travis Pisana at that point. But I don't know what it is. And they seem like the Kentucky coach, that seemed like a really cool story. Like when they made it.
Yeah.
And, I was happy for him, but just their affiliation with Kentucky.
Nick
makes me root
Mingione
against-
from White Plains, New York.
Yeah, there you go.
My guy.
Well,
my
he's not coming back.
No, he's not coming back. He might be coming back at some point.
Well,
but
sure, but not this year.
He is not coming back
He's
this year.
not allowed in the Connor World Series.
No.
Speaking
He has
of
been
that,
eliminated.
Speaking of that, with the field of 16 set, can you confirm that we potentially have a Connor World Series?
I mean, yeah, it was confirmed the second Nebraska lost, right?
Well, you claim there was other things that needed to go.
Yeah,
into
yeah,
it, even though we
yeah.
all know it. Was
Yeah,
really one thing.
I think it needs to break in a couple of different ways, because ultimately what you want is in order to get a great feeling around here is you still do want the big brands, and you still do want them who are those schools who are attached to large fan bases who will travel and stuff. But I think we're really we're on pace for some good things. We're on pace. We don't want too many, like, the other thing about maybe we could talk about this a little bit later. The thing about the Cal Polys and the Troy and the Little Rock is you don't want too many of them. Like, I don't know if you want Cal Poly and Little Rock playing each other at a College World Series game to start things off.
I will withhold my dream Connor World Series for later.
All right, yeah, it's a good conversation.
Now, if St. John's
and St. John's, like, you don't want all three of them.
But if St. John's is in, you could potentially get a Rick Pitino appearance in Omaha again.
There's no way he's coming.
You
out
get
for the
you.
College
He was tweeting about St. John's baseball yesterday.
He could experience.
I don't believe it.
He could experience summer in Omaha.
He could.
Better than dealing with the cold.
Yeah, they were here. They've been here the last 2 years, and he's wanted to jump in the snow and die of frostbite.
Hard to do when it's going to be 99 degrees.
Exactly. So maybe he will show up.
Humidity.
I don't know, Schaefer. I'm going to give it more potential than you are.
I'm putting a no.
Okay.
He's also a Kentucky expert. You could ask your questions regarding that state.
I'm leaving the door open. That is true. What are your
The
thoughts?
man has coached in most of the important schools in Kentucky.
And he's
Coach
ruined.
Patino, I hate Kentucky.
And
What are your
he's-
thoughts? And
and
he would be like, no, I love Mock Pope.
And
He
he's
is a
ruined the
dear
Boston
friend.
Celtics in the early 2000s.
Okay, that's true. But you got to be over that by now.
Oh,
They've won
yeah.
like
Oh, yeah,
6
I am.
championships. since
yeah.
I
then.
mean, Joey would be
I
over
watched
it
the
by virtue of he was gone by 2004.
Yeah, by the time you were born.
Yeah. Well,
So Joey would
I
have
was already
Joey would have
5
had like
6 years
5
old.
years with them.
Even though I did not
Joey had never
pay
even
any
said
attention
the
to
Celtics or
them.
the Balls yet. at
Yeah,
that
you
point
were
in his
not
life.
caring about the Celtics when Rick Pitino was.
No,
the
I
coach
wasn't
there.
caring, but I watched the documentary and know what he did over there.
Bada Bing writes in, the Connor World Series is so strange. Why wouldn't you want the Cornhuskers in Omaha? It would have been epic, and people would have jumped in the Missouri River.
Oh, that's nasty.
I would not want people to jump in the Missouri River, for the record. Do not do
yeah,
that.
that's
Don't
not
jump in the
safe.
Platte River.
That is
I
not
agree.
how the Missouri River works. Do not go in there.
It's not the canal in Oklahoma.
No. do not go in there. I've explained this before, and I think there's people. I received a couple emails. There's people who see it this way as well. I like the College World Series because it's the College World Series, and when Nebraska makes it, it just becomes the Nebraska World Series. If you saw like I know when Nebraska makes it, the story is quite obviously Nebraska. I mean, hell, when Cam Kojal made it last year, it was like the Cam Kojal World Series. So, like, I think about some of the other games that would still have to go on in order for a national champion to be crowned. And I do wonder about what
They'll still play those games.
they will play them, but will there be fans in attendance?
Why wouldn't there be fans in attendance? They sell the game tickets for different games.
They do, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Kind of.
They
but
would be completely
you're over the top with it.
overshadowed by Nebraska
Yeah,
fans.
to a point. And then the rest of the series has to play out. If Nebraska goes 0-2, then there's still, the other games. There's still the rest of the World Series.
Just there's a lot of bandwidth being directed in that direction. That's all. That would be my point on the entire thing.
No, I mean, it's
But
not
that
that I don't
is
understand
not-
the point. I just don't. I don't have anywhere near the like. Oh, this would be a disaster. That
I don't know if it'd be a disaster. That seems a little strong. I don't know if it would be a disaster, I just don't.
You
You think it would? You think that I think it would be a disaster?
Kind
What's
of,
going
yeah.
on now?
kind of.
I don't want it to happen. I didn't say it would be a disaster.
Well, yeah, that's where I'm assuming your head is at with it.
Okay. I don't know how to convince you that that's not the case.
You probably can't.
All right.
That's all right.
That's very interesting.
We don't have to worry about it until next year.
We absolutely.
And I'll be
do
honest,
not.
we probably won't have to worry about it next year either.
Hey, by the way, oh yeah, we didn't follow up on this. D'Lo writes in, he says, "Oh no, Connor predicting the attendance at the Chuck related to Nebraska baseball again." I will have you know, D'Lo, that game took place at 1:00,000 in the morning, and there weren't as many people there as everyone thought there
You
were going
should
to be.
definitely take a
So
victory lap
suck on that, D'Lo. Wrong again. If you want to hit up the show today, feel free to do so. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweet at Happenchafe on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed, or at Connor Happer, or at Mike J. Schaefer there. Email Connor, Mike, or Joey at 1620thezone.com and the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to our YouTube streamers today. And all of the folks who are accusing me of things that I am not. Thank you. Those are narratives that Mike Schaefer has not helped.
I am not here to help your brand all the time. Just some of it. Just a little.
That's good to know. We're off and running on a Tuesday. Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
You're listening to Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone.
All right. Happer and Schaefer rolling on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer with you yesterday. Big trade in the NFL. The NFL people woke up. I don't know all the league dates and stuff like that, but for whatever reason, June 1st is
a lot of stuff gets post-dated to June 1. So contracts can come off the books.
Is that like March
can get cut
when the new league year comes into play? And there's a whole bunch of
other big date when it comes to contracts.
Okay, so June 1 is a big date, and we were all expecting a trade
date
yesterday. That's right. It was Joey's birthday. We were all expecting a big trade yesterday, and we got one. The first one was not the trade that we were expecting. It was the second one. But the first one is the one that we're going to spend most of our time talking about this morning for the next 10 or so minutes, when the Browns traded Myles Garrett to the Rams for Jared Verse and 3 picks. I would like to read you did they take this out? I think they took it out of the ESPN story yesterday that I had, the news story that I had in the initial story that I read. Yes. Oh no, it's still in here. Okay. Here it is. The Cleveland Browns traded 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett to the Rams for 2-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Jared Verse and multiple draft picks. The Browns received a first-round pick in 27, a second-round pick in 28, a third-rounder in 29, and is one of the biggest trades in NFL history involving a defensive player. In fact, there's a lot of people this is my editorialism now. There's a lot of people who are saying that Myles Garrett might be one of the best players, especially on defense, to be traded within, like, in his prime, which he is still in right now, at least for the near future. But it feels like the Rams are always playing for the near future. So here's the paragraph that I wanted to get to. With Super Bowl 61 set to be played at SoFi Stadium this February, the Rams are again going all in and living by their mantra, F them picks, while trying to repeat history. Now, I know that people have said that about the Rams, and they may have even said it about themselves. But, like, when you go into the Rams facility, is it plastered on the wall? It's like culture, attitude, and F them picks.
It's like when you go to TCF Bank and all the oars are everywhere as you're walking through. And it's all we didn't have a pick here because F them.
Like
or they had their draft, like their years of drafts, and it's just like in slots where they could have picked. It's like F them.
Yeah,
F them,
not a
F
guy,
them.
not a guy, not a guy. Did not take a guy here.
That's really it's possible. It is incredible how few picks that they have taken in the first round in the last 7 years.
Yeah, it's basically since right before COVID. This kind of
it's like 2019, 2018, somewhere in that range. Maybe even. I think they had a couple trades even before Stafford that were fairly aggressive.
Oh, definitely.
And it's just amazing because they're so good at finding other players to fill in and then have those guys be good enough that you can put in the stars around them. Or the guy going back to Cleveland in this trade, like Jared
he's
Verse
really good.
Incredible.
He's really good.
I remember
and he's cheaper and there's more control and all those things.
One of the people I met over at Nebraska when he was a quality control assistant over there is a guy named Jack Cooper, and he now coaches for Wisconsin. He's part of Luke Fickell's staff. He left Nebraska and he became the defensive coordinator over at Rhode Island. And he hits me up going into a portal cycle, and he's like, "You've got to look at this guy coming out of Albany. I've been texting with Nebraska. They have to get on this kid's radar. He's incredible." He was talking about Jared Verse, who then ends up going to Florida State, I think, for only 1 year, and is excellent there. Gets taken like 21st pick or whatever by the Rams, and immediately is a complete and utter stud in the NFL.
So it was the same story with the same idea with the Rams during draft night, and they're the one team who are like, the league agreed and its viewers agreed that Ty Simpson sucked. Everyone was like, wow, this guy.
Where do you come down on it?
I agree. I agree with everybody else.
I can't, but I
agree with everybody else.
If I was doing this on a JJ McCarthy scale, I Like, I think Ty Simpson at 12, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Is more shocking than JJ McCarthy at 10.
But then guess who drafted him? These guys.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, whoa, do I have to rethink everything now? Because they don't screw stuff up.
I know.
It's
really
unbelievable. So this is what winning does. Like they have done some bat bleep crazy stuff, and it usually works out for them because they are always thinking about how do we win games this year. And it's like, it's sort of almost even surgical, right? Like they've traded away, obviously the picks, but franchise type of players, like, guys who like Jared Verse. I thought Jared Verse was just going to be there forever, wrecking everybody's life in the NFC West. Like, I just thought that was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And obviously you had an opportunity.
Imagine being him today.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Like, oh, I just got traded for one of the best defensive players ever, and I'm going to go to a place that never wins football games, and everyone's going to kind of hold it against me for not being Myles Garrett.
Exactly.
Oh, this is fun.
And you got traded for only one first-round pick, so I'm sure Browns fans are probably like, what's going on here? I just have to. This is what winning does. They give you the benefit. It gives you the benefit of the doubt on basically everything, and it always seems to work out for them. And I saw this yesterday. I'm like, wow. I mean, these guys are nuts. But they're going for it. And I've never had an offseason. There hasn't been an offseason over the last like 7 off seasons where I haven't been like, oh, the Rams aren't going for it. The Rams are always going for it. And that sends such a message to your fan base and your team and all those different things to where you're like, yeah, we're going to do this thing.
One of the things that I think is great with the Rams is that they look at these guys, and Myles Garrett's 29, and they don't immediately get scared because someone seems like he's older.
Yeah.
When they traded for Matt Stafford, they traded for him at a time in his career where people sort of assumed that it might be slowing down a little bit. Now, the NFL quarterback has aged into this ability to be able to play it for some people into their mid 40s, and for others into their early 40s or late 30s. And so Stafford was maybe less of a gamble in that regard. But Jalen Ramsey, similar kind of thing. Devontae Adams, similar kind of thing, where it's like, all right, people think this guy is less than what he used to be. But I think the Rams crave the sort of intelligence of these players. And then they're just going to put them in a system where they can kind of have it all figure out. Meanwhile, Myles Garrett at 29.
Yeah, Myles.
You still think there's at least 3 more years of dominant record.
Myles Garrett does not fit the Devontae Adams mold. That's for sure.
Myles Garrett is incredible.
Myles Garrett is a freak because you could he's the ultimate game. I mean, he's the ultimate game wrecker. You just put him anywhere and he's blowing it up.
He takes away one side of your field, basically.
I was
in a totally different way than like a Jalen Ramsey used to.
I was reading Bill Barnwell on ESPN this morning as well, and like the other thing about him is he's a run stopper too. He's basically a one-man defensive line, which if you think about it from that perspective, there is no amount of money that you could spend on him or no amount of assets you could trade to get Myles Garrett where it's not worth it. He is probably the best player in the NFL.
And if you're Cleveland, and which is crazy because the Rams already had that in Aaron Donald, where it's like, can the best player in the league be this guy on the other side of the ball in a super offensive league?
Yeah.
Well, when they're a transcendent, unbelievable talent like Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett, the answer is yes.
The Rams. So I saw this stat in the Barnwell story. The Rams will become the first team since the 1970 merger to field the reigning most valuable player on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive player of the year on the other.
Absolutely nuts.
And I already thought they were going to be good.
Absolutely nuts.
And yes, they traded away Jared Verse, but this is going to be good for them.
If you look at it from the Browns' perspective, it's awful in the sense that you had to trade a unbelievable player. It also felt like you were going to have to trade him.
Yeah.
You had to make the most of what the situation was, and getting Jared Verse plus another first-round pick plus some capital later.
For the situation,
I think it's as good as they could do.
I agree. For the situation that both teams are in, it's just like, and then the whole like franchise player by the jersey guy, which I love the idea of. I think it matters a whole hell of a lot more in baseball than it does in football.
Sure.
Like I'm sure, he has been like, if you look at people who have a Browns jersey, there's probably 90% of them just have Myles Garrett jersey at this
Because
point.
why would you have
Unless
anyone
they
else?
have the quarterback crossed out one, like that one guy
28
does.
names on the jersey.
Unless they have a Derek Anderson jersey, as he was discussed during the break. I think
That's
he had
right.
one really nice year in Cleveland.
And so, like they're just in a different spot from a franchise perspective. I mean, you have to sort of like cold-heartedly what they did. But once, like, even if you graded out the trade and said, man, I thought the Browns did pretty good for themselves, and I thought the Rams did pretty good for themselves, who wins the trade? In order to find that out, you don't know for another 2 years or 3 years or something like that, and until all the stuff has come to fruition. And if you're guessing on who that's going to be, I'm going to guess the Los Angeles Rams at this point, because stuff never works out for the Browns. Like that's the sense that I get from this trade. Oh, I think the assets makes a lot of sense. I think if you're the Browns, you had to do it. If you're the Rams, you're getting Myles Garrett. Obviously, it makes sense for both sides, but it's the Rams trading with the Browns. I couldn't think more highly of the Rams as a franchise. I couldn't think worse of the Browns as a franchise. And so you take a guess as who it's going to work out for.
I think this is one of those where there's always the fallacy of wanting to try to like claim who won or lost the trade. And this could be one where they both end up walking away where it worked as well as it could have for each of them. Like
maybe, but they're the Browns.
I know they're
going to keep losing.
They were still going to be the Browns even with Myles Garrett. Like they were the Browns the entire time. Myles Garrett was the best defensive player in the NFL.
That was probably the question they were asking themselves. Are we going to be the Browns with Myles Garrett, or are we going to be the Browns without Myles Garrett?
And if we're the Browns without Myles Garrett, who are we? Oh, we're still the Browns.
We're the Browns.
So in that regard, I mean, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I still think, I don't know, hopefully for Jared Verse, he's able to put himself in a mindset where this doesn't like derail him or anything. If you get the Pro Bowl version of him, you're going to be okay. That team, though, like the way it's constructed, and their coach is now, I think, Todd Monken. I wanted to say Jeff Monken, but I'm pretty sure he's still an Army.
Monken for Monken.
It's Todd.
There's a lot that has to happen still with that organization.
Got a ways to go.
It feels like they're not like a year away. They might be like multiple.
Well, they did give a lot of money to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, well, that's wrecking their
correct.
Still into their future. I think they have one more year until that thing finally they can take it off the books. And then you can maybe open some stuff up there.
And then the other trade that actually did happen yesterday, finally, the longtime person who kept doing cryptic Instagram posts and things of that nature, AJ Brown, actually did get traded yesterday to the Patriots for a first-round pick in 2028 and a 2027 fifth. And so there you go. Shout out to Mike Vrabel, who's got a new friend. He needs one.
So it's a 2 years from now first round pick.
It's a 28 first and a 27 fifth.
Wow. Okay. It still feels like a lot for AJ Brown, who I, for whatever reason, have never viewed him in the same way that I view a CD Lamb or view a Jefferson.
I am willing to give him some leeway because it just this isn't a positive thing for him, but like how much of the lack of production last year was just out of. I mean, he was just a malcontent the entire year.
Sure. Yeah.
Like that was not.
I'm not even like when he was really good and they won the Super Bowl. There's just something about AJ Brown where I've never viewed him as like the elite receiver that the NFL views him as. And it's more of a blind spot for me. But if I was running through the top receivers in the NFL, I feel like I would have a decently like 5, 6, 7, 8 guys before, Jamar Chase and Smith-Njigba are two people I hadn't mentioned yet. Like I'm taking all of those guys.
Definitely.
St. Brown, I'm probably taking over AJ Brown. I don't know what it is. And it's not like he's physically gifted. He's dominated before. There's just something about it or about him where I just don't know if I believe it as much. Some of it is I wonder what he's like away from the sort of system when it worked well for the Eagles, where you had a lot you had to try to figure out how to defend.
Yeah, he doesn't have like that superstar electricity where the league has kind of gone. You mentioned Smith-Njigba. Right. I think he's the best example of it. Like you just can't catch him.
That guy.
He's just completely and totally electric. Like AJ Brown is not exactly that way as a wide receiver.
He's more like
he's an old school wide receiver.
DJ Metcalf, where it's just physically dominant, kind of in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, he's physically imposing for sure. Like he's the old school wide receiver build.
Yeah.
Old school. I mean, I don't know. This is the way it was probably.
And Drake May's a good quarterback, so you should
I don't know.
have.
When would you say that wide receivers started to become tinier and more electric? Who
Everything
started
ebbs
it?
and flows because it was probably that way for a while before Randy Moss made every 6'4" person switch to that.
But would you agree that that is now the NFL wide receiver? The quintessential NFL wide receiver is no longer built like Adrian Brown. They are built like Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like
I think it still ebbs and flows. I mean, Jefferson's
it's
taller
not that
than you
there's
think.
not. It's not that there's not one.
Yeah,
of the
it's
other.
just
Jefferson. Jefferson, I think, is a great example of a guy who's
he
like
plays smaller than he
Smith and
actually
Jigba.
is.
Yeah,
he plays a slot receiver when he's built like an outside.
Jamar Chase is a freak combo of both. I forgot about Jamar Chase.
You talk about all these receivers, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy's incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
All right, so those are the trades in the NFL. Yesterday, Sith Destroyer writes in. He says Devontae Smith time. Now I am excited. Yeah, it's Devontae Smith time. It could be Mekhi Lemon time.
He has not been. Devonta Smith has been good. He hasn't been as good as I thought he would be coming out of college at this point.
Probably not.
And some of that is
he's been second banana.
Second banana, and then also he has a little bit of a limitation with Jalen Hurts as his quarterback.
That is also true.
So there is that.
All right, we'll take a break. Round at the hour after this on 1620 The Zone. Did you see the video of the kid in the youth baseball game who wound up to pitch and then instead of throwing it over or near the plate, he hucked it into the dugout?
I heard about this story yesterday when I was playing golf, because two of the guys I was playing with, they had sons that were down playing in Kansas City. They weren't in that same tournament.
Yeah.
They were familiar with the Elkhorn team of which this happened.
So I didn't realize that it was against an Elkhorn team.
Yeah, I didn't know about this either until I was informed.
I saw it like as a viral video like several times. I'm like,
It was the,
something is wrong with youth sports in America.
It was
And
the
little did I know
coaches-
it was an Elkhorn team that it happened to.
Right. It was a coach's son and the coach, and they both received bans for this.
Yeah.
And apparently, prior to it even happening, the coach was trying to get his son to throw at the kid's head, a batter's head. So obviously, great things happening there in that youth sports.
This is from the World Herald.
program.
Mike Patterson. Congratulations, by the way, on an awesome career from Mike Patterson. He talked with the Elkhorn coach, Brandon Magny, who is a guy that I played baseball with a little bit growing up. Playing an 11 youth squad from Oklahoma, the coach of the opposing team allegedly told his son to throw a pitch from the mound into the Nebraska team's dugout. The coach subsequently received a lifetime suspension from the USSSA, while his son was suspended for 5 years. So he will never be allowed to play USSSA baseball again because he'll age out by the time by the time he gets to high school and by the time the suspension ends. The incident captured on video was shared and went viral on social media, taking on its own life over the last couple weeks. The coach of the Elkhorn team, Magny, said he has been contacted by national news outlets such as Fox and ESPN, but has been reluctant to further address the situation. He said there has been some surprising backlash aimed at his own team on social media for perhaps somehow sparking the incident. It is funny when stuff like this happens because you're like, what in the world must have led to this? Sometimes it's just crazy freak idiots, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know that there's.
I don't know what kind of dad, I don't know what kind of coach is being like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and wind up. And as you wind up, just don't throw it to the plate. Just throw it right off the face of the other team's dugout. Like, you got to be a special kind of bad.
You probably don't remember this name, but there was a former MLB draft pick who played for, I think, Wichita State. His name was Ben Christensen. And he really cost himself in the Major League Baseball.
Is he the one
draft.
who turned around and hit the catcher with
No.
the
He was warming up and chucked one of his warm-ups at a guy on the on-deck circle and drilled him like right in the face, I think. He like his accuracy must have been pretty good because the guy was turned towards him.
Yeah.
And obviously you're not expecting to get hit when you're in the on-deck circle. And so it basically, I think, got him suspended for the rest of the college season. And then it put his like Major League Baseball career in doubt. I'm pretty sure he got drafted by the Cubs and then never did anything.
This paints a very, very grim picture as to what youth sports is. And
Yeah, not great.
anything I
Well,
ever
that's the
hear
thing.
about
If
youth
there's backlash against this Elkhorn team, like I don't care what they did to anger this dad and son. There's nothing that could have been done that would justify, one, ever throwing at someone's head, and two, throwing at a dugout of children. Like, and even having a child do it. Like, there's no justification for any of that ever.
No,
I can't imagine how there would be online backlash.
it does not have the it doesn't have the rosiest image right now. Does youth sports? Magny, the Elkhorn coach, whose team was thrown at from the dugout over the weekend in Kansas City, said, "Quote: Every week I see parents fighting in the stands or coaches getting kicked out of games. This past weekend, I saw a 13-year-old umpire in tears because the other coach was screaming at him. What is wrong with us? What
13 seems kind of young to have as an umpire of what would be a similar age team, right?
I suppose, but my God,
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not justifying any of the screaming at him.
Just yelling at a teenager in general. Oh my goodness.
yeah, not acceptable.
yeah." He said, the coach of the Elkhorn team said, they called the coach and his son, who were responsible for this particular incident, called and apologized. But the dad will still have the lifetime ban held up. So if you see that video going on social media, yeah, just know that was a local team that was involved in that incident on the receiving side of it. We got to clean our act up. Youth sports parents, decorum is very, very important. Clean it up, everybody. We'll be back 7:00 hour coming up after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. 7 o'clock hour. Happer and Schaefer at 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. This week's Zone half-off deal is to 72 Table and Tap at 5413 South 72nd Street. Two $25 gift vouchers for the price of one this Friday at 9. That is 72 Table and Tap in Ralston. Also, stay tuned to this very show on this very day. At some point in this show, you will have an opportunity to win a free gift certificate to 72 Table and Tap. As we welcome you back for the 7 o'clock hour. I was gonna do a Brendan Sorsby take, and then I thought it would be better. It might be better for the TikTok takes tomorrow, to be honest, because I'm kind of fired up about it. Yeah.
Look at you already incorporating TikTok takes into your brain.
It's not anything you probably haven't heard before,
Sure.
but it is so wildly frustrating to me that I'm going to bottle it up another day and then let it go for TikTok takes tomorrow.
I have a TikTok take that could be saved for I have an opinion, but I'm really going to let it out for the TikTok take.
All right, good. We got some things bottled up for TikTok takes.
Yep. That'll be Wednesdays, the 7:20 in that range, or what are you thinking?
I don't know. I have to think about it a little bit more. I don't need all of our bits to be at 7:20. I gotta help out the 7:25 listeners somewhere.
Okay.
Mix it up a little bit. We'll see. We'll think about it a little bit tonight. But I was thinking about this last night. So Chattel wrote a column about identity in the athletic department.
Sure.
Which, like, I think there is definitely some truth to this. Obviously, it looks a lot better and feels a lot better when you're winning at everything, which Nebraska is winning at a lot of things right
Coming
now.
off of its last year of athletics.
Now, the thing, the consistency across the programs has definitely been, I like the consistency is the consistency itself. So I looked it up last night, and I wonder how much you think this means and how much this is responsible for Nebraska's sort of, I don't know. I would say in a lot of different sports, and specifically a few of these that I'm going to mention, sort of bloomed this year. Like they came to fruition in a lot of cases. So Fred Hoiberg is now the 8th longest tenured coach in the Big Ten. He's longer tenured than more than half of the coaches in the league. Amy Williams, who they didn't have a great year this year, but they still went to the NCAA tournament, women's basketball, the 7th longest tenured coach in the Big Ten. Will Bolt is the 6th longest tenured coach in the Big Ten now. It was a big hiring class in 2020. Rhonda Revelle is the 4th longest tenured softball coach in Division I. She has like the 8th or 9th most wins.
It's crazy. She's only
35 years.
4th.
It's crazy. Yeah, I know. I looked it up last night.
There's those decades, and she's only 4th.
There are some coaches who have been around for 38, 39, 40, 45 years, and I forgot to write the list down of who's above her, but we're talking about consistency. Now, Revelle is a little bit of a different story because it's hard to make the argument that like what she built, quote unquote, is now just seeing its form here.
She's had peaks and valleys.
Exactly.
Before. I mean,
it's been
they've
up
had
and down.
incredible teams in the early 2000s, and they had great teams that she played on in the 80s. And
so
the program is in a unique space relative to other ones.
So the question is this: how big of a factor is the lack of head coach turnover in Nebraska's athletic department as it pertains to their success this past school year? And we've established now over and over again over the last couple months, this has been a great year.
Yeah.
Even without the big picture football success. And I think everybody's willing to go along with it. It's been a really good year for Nebraska athletics. How big of a factor is the lack of turnover at those spots where you've had coaches who have been in their place for a long time now, and they seem to, on some levels, every coach is different. They seem to, on some levels, have quote unquote cracked the code.
Yeah, I think we had this discussion sometime earlier in May, where it was kind of like you look around like, wow, how is everybody sort of doing what they're doing? Why is Nebraska having this big athletic year? And one of the things you kind of settle on is you've got a lot of coaches that were given a fair amount of time to experiment and to figure out what it is that they need to do in order to be successful in their endeavor or their arena. And Some of them, in Fred Hoiberg's case, were allowed to fail and toil and tinker and then find it that way. Others of them, in Amy Williams' case, came in right away and pretty much had early success, relatively quickly in her career. And in her case, I think she's very good at attracting talent. They're able to bring in maybe a higher level of talent than what I thought Nebraska women's basketball would have had prior to Amy Williams at times. And certainly, Nebraska had some good players.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they had some really good players.
Right. And Jess Shepard and Kelsey Griffith and all of those as well. But so you have that. You have Mark Manning, who similar kind of thing, allowed to sort of build his program over time. And then, and this is what I think is critical, because you've empowered these people to kind of go out and build the program as they see fit, you let them change it when they feel like they need to. Mark Manning built his program a certain way for a while and now has switched it up. And now, given some of the funding and interest and everything in wrestling, they've become even more, I don't know, prominent in the sport than they were when I was covering it in 2009.
They are now moving into the next step. It feels like where they feel like they belong amongst the elites.
They went from like a top 12-ish wrestling program when I'm covering them in 2008 and 2009, and Jordan Burroughs is just hitting his stride, to now they're like a top 5 program in the country.
Yeah, I would say
they're on the cusp of it. I should say it's more like top 7. Like they were probably more 8 through 15 or 8 through 14, and now they've moved into that.
In football terms, it was probably like Bo Pelini years, but now they think they're Ohio State, which they might be. Well, you know what I mean? Like they're recruiting like it anyway.
If Ohio State is what everybody ascribes to be, or Georgia, that is very much Penn State, and then everyone else is kind of like that next run down.
Right.
But that means you are the Alabama, Texas, whatever.
It's a pretty good tier to be.
That's a great spot to be,
I
think. And I'm certainly no wrestling guy, and what little I do know, it's from covering that. And again, you give these coaches a long amount of time, and a lot of it comes down to you have people that you just trust implicitly in their roles. You let them kind of figure it out. It's not a lot of micromanaging. It's not a lot of like, this didn't work this year, we need results immediately. I think that's been helpful for a lot of these programs where it would have been easy, especially with some of the controversy, to move on from Rhonda Revelle. I'm fairly certain, and maybe people can argue this, I'm fairly certain there's no Jordy Fromm if you don't have Rhonda Revelle.
Oh, I mean, who knows where it could have gone, but I don't think so either. Yeah.
So, I think having an institution like that really matters for some of these sports. I think that it's important for, if you are upset right now as a Nebraska baseball fan, and you think that Will Bolt has just this capped ceiling and they're never going to win a regional and et cetera, et cetera.
Curious to see what their next step is.
One, take a long look at Nebraska's history and then come back to me and be like, I'm unhappy with where we are as a baseball program.
Yeah, go prior to 1999.
Right. And then again, come back to me and we can try to have this discussion again. 2, you have to allow these people to evolve as coaches. I think
nobody knows it better than the people who are inside the walls of what they're doing. And this is not an argument to say, well, you have to just let a coach go and trust them implicitly no matter what, because that's not it. But I would certainly lean that way rather than, hey, it's not working out on this first turn. There is real value. And this will not probably be comfortable, I guess, for people to hear, but I do think there is real value in what Matt Rule has already gone through in his time at Nebraska.
I 100%.
Now, it comes with the trust, and the next step has to be, all right, we tweak the right things and we turn the knobs enough in our favor for it to actually kind of work. We adjusted enough things for it to work now, but there is so much value in what Fred Hoiberg went through in his first 5 years at Nebraska. And the knock on him was, or his first 4 years, and the knock on him was he did this to himself. He deserves to pay for it at the end of the day. Sure. But for a variety of different reasons, he stays on board, and he's ultimately a good enough coach to be oh, okay, I see what the rest of the league is all about. I see the right ways in this current time that we're in to go about player acquisition and player development and stuff like that. I see the things that matter. Coaches evolve. I mean, hell, Mac talks about it all the time with how they went and dove into the sports science and the body and like how he trusts Jeremy Anderson and what they do over there. And he used to be like we're going to pound him at practice, type of guy, and didn't do that at the end of his time at Creighton. Right. And so like all that stuff mattered. Coaches, now they were winning the entire time, but there's little steps that you just have to take. And so that some of that, a lot of it only happens with time.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, but this year is in Nebraska athletics. This year is a really good example of, what can happen.
Continuity and consistency can do for an athletic department.
Yep.
And I think the big word, and we've said it a couple times, is just evolution. You have to allow these coaches to expand their horizons and figure out, like, okay, what is happening in this sport now? Where can we have an advantage? Where can we find our mark? You mentioned Fred Hoiberg, and there's a variety of factors that went into those first few years. But one of the things that, I'm pretty fond of saying is I don't really care about what happened when he had the team with Gervais Green. And, like, he clearly evolved as a coach, and he clearly changed their whole pattern as a program, starting with the teams that had Derek Walker, and they built that culture, and they immersed themselves into Big Ten basketball.
Now, if you want it to be like in his third year, if you want it to be like, I don't know where this is going, and it doesn't show any signs of turning around, then I'd be like,
if you were sitting in the arena the day that they lost to Western Illinois with Verge and with Bryce McGowan's and Trey McGowan's, and you're like, I thought this was going to be better. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No argument to that. If you were sitting there the next year when you're watching K-State kind of go off and Derek Walker and Sam Greisel are doing their thing, and you can tell that there's a shift, you could feel that. And then the year following, they make the NCAA tournament. The year after that, they're on the cusp of the NCAA tournament. Then they break through. I mean, you can kind of see it if you allow yourself to look past, what you thought initially, to notice that there was an evolution in what they were doing.
Here's the rub, I guess. Like, let's apply it back to the basketball situation, because that's the clearest pivot. And
I think baseball we thought a little bit.
It was so bad,
right?
And then clear pivot to really, really good.
Yeah.
There is a world where the pivot doesn't work.
Oh yeah,
there is a world where the pivot just doesn't work, and then
Scott Frost pivoted and it got worse. Like some of it is you have to know in the individual. Like, one of the things when we talk about consistency and all of it as it relates to continuity with coaches, I think you could also look at the Bo Pelini era and determine, hey, this isn't going to get better. He's doing the same thing.
It's never going to.
They're running into the same issues.
Yeah.
The same bugaboos affect them at the same times against the same types of teams.
Great point.
He's not getting better as a coach. He's just continuing to do the same thing over and over. And you can see the cracks in the armor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say this all the time. I think if he had 2015 as a coach, you would have seen them drop off ever so slightly as it goes forward. Now, 2016, the way everything was set up, I think they still would have been pretty good under him. There's a reason why he never had success anywhere he went after Nebraska. He didn't evolve with the football game.
Yeah. And certainly didn't when they moved conferences.
Right. I mean,
that's the most obvious thing.
Conversation
I always felt like Bo was a little bitter about that. And, well, I mean, he was a little bitter about a lot of things, but
I was going to say, do we want to do a power rankings with tiers, things that he was bitter about?
Kind of a good idea.
That would be a very listened to segment.
Kind of a good idea.
Local media.
A great summer topic. Are you all out of content to talk about? Slow news day, huh?
Local fans.
Actually, yes, it is June and July, and that would actually kind of be a fun conversation. Yeah. But yes, they never pivoted.
Example of that.
They never
someone
pivoted.
That was good at what he did to a point, and then you could tell that there probably was going to be the drop off coming.
Yeah. They never pivoted. They never really changed or did a whole. It's not fair to say they didn't do anything different. but
yes, they definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, he changed out some coaches. He obviously switched from Sean Watson to Tim Beck. They went from Zach Lee to Taylor Martinez, which couldn't have been a more different quarterback and offense. So there's some stuff in there. But the hallmarks of who they are and what they were, I still continue and I will believe until my last breath, like they were going to get worse.
how much do we find out as we transition this to make it like a football conversation now? Because it always comes back to that.
Has to.
How much do we find out about the rule pivot this year?
I think
And
quite a bit.
and is it exclusively tied up in the success? See, that's the problem
No.
that I think people are going to have,
I think
because
they
I
should-
don't believe it is either. It is not tied to the success. And I'm not trying to lower the bar, but you really got to see it this year. And it's, for a lot of people, it's tough to see without actually winning the games, the requisite games. But I mean, the all important, what was it, 22-23 basketball season for Fred
I think
Hoiberg.
it's your cross comparable is that you want to feel coming out of that like there was a step forward taken. Now, the thing about the 22-23 is we don't mention at the end of the 21-22 that Nebraska took a step forward where they knock off Wisconsin and another ranked team at the end with Bryce McGowan. You could see that they had kind of figured a few things out. Bigger shift, 22-23, different personnel. I think Nebraska football finds itself in that 22-23 sort of range. I think, if they can get to 7-5 and you look like you're playing through your offensive line and Jeep Wade's, effect on this team with the run game and everything else can be felt. I think
they need to have their identity this year. They need to have that
Corey
thing
Brown
cinched away. Like they need to be a defensive, like they need to be a good defensive team this year.
I think
like,
Corey Brown,
that's where the results actually matter for me. They need to be good on defense.
I think Corey Brown, in a lot of ways, is probably under-discussed because of what has happened with Jeep Wade so much this offseason. But if Corey Brown can find a way to get the defensive linemen that he has inherited, the guys that they were already excited about in terms of Van Poppel and Len Hart and these other ones, Williams Winery, and they can take a step forward, even if it doesn't result in Nebraska winning 9 games, but you can tell the defensive line is playing better. Rob Orch's system seems to fit in what they want to do. Like, I think there's just this world where you can sort of see it, even if it doesn't result in beating Ohio State on November, whatever.
Yeah. So John writes in on the text line, and it's funny because we view these in completely different ways. Like John is texting us and basically asking why we are, rule honks. And I actually think what we're saying is it's a call for urgency for Rule. Like we need to see it this year. So John writes in this. He says, "How much are you two being paid to start weaving the story that we need to be patient with Rule?
Not enough.
It doesn't matter anyway. He can't be fired and is going to continue to suck." Like if you don't trust the guy and if you don't believe in him, then like I'm not going to be able to convince you otherwise. Did you? But my question is this: like, did you just think that Fred Hoiberg sucked?
Yes, I guarantee he did.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know this individual. I have no idea if he even watches basketball.
Actually, he doesn't. He hates basketball.
I love when people frame their argument of my position is X. I'm never moving off of it. You're a moron. That's a great way to have a conversation about something. This is a really productive way to discuss it.
I've said this before. Like, I can't say because my problem with Rule at the moment is like I don't feel like I know what they're trying to be, and this is exactly what we've been talking about for a long time now. And with Fred, I've said this before too. Like I always thought, even when they were terrible, they were terrible. What was
terrible.
it? 6-56 against high major teams or whatever it was. Or it was.
I don't know that it was ever 6-56, but
No,
it's closer to that.
It was almost that bad.
Yeah,
I had a
it was bad.
spreadsheet at one point. It was really, really bad.
Of course you do.
And I probably still have it somewhere.
How many spreadsheets do you have?
I could go to my Google Sheets right now. It's probably really bad. But
I just want a total number. I don't need specifics. It could include stuff in your personal life. How many total spreadsheets do you have saved? That's what I want to know.
I just thought that he was a good coach the entire time. I was like, I don't understand what they're doing, mostly because I don't. Oh God.
Well, and you
there's
also
no counter on
shared
this.
some of those too.
Yeah, some of them, not
many.
not many of them.
Look at your
So
Sounds like you got a lot.
Fred Hoiberg era
He's
results.
got a lot.
So this is as the last input I had was after the 21-22 season, the last game of the 21-22 season, the last regular season game of that year. They were 10-60 against high majors.
Okay. So 6 and 56.
6 and 56. I would give them 500.
4-4 in their last 8.
Yeah,
It's possible.
I actually
I'm
think.
not going to rule it out.
Actually,
I know they beat Wisconsin.
they won their
and-
last 3.
Yeah, they
won
had
their
a
last-
very nice stretch at the end of 21-22.
They won each of their last 3 games.
It's
So
something no one talks about, but I think it did matter in the long run.
at one point they were 7-60.
Yeah, so there you were dead on it.
7-60 against high majors. And I was like, what in the absolute bleep
Yeah.
is going on right now?
Yeah.
And I just felt like I never really got it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I don't necessarily feel that convicted with Rule. Like I don't feel
Part of it is that Rule never had the highs of what Hoiberg was
Yeah.
prior to coming to Nebraska.
Yeah.
The bet on Hoiberg was because you watched what he did at Iowa State.
Yeah.
Even if the failure at the Bulls could be somewhat reminiscent of the failure at the Panthers.
And like I said, like I don't think this conversation doubles as like us or certainly me being like, I think you need to give Rule more
I'm
time
probably
just
a
because
little
you
more
need to
bullish on Rule than you are, but I don't think it's significantly more.
Yeah,
I think there's more upside, I guess, is sort of where I'm at with it.
I think we need to. I think we need to have a really clear idea of where they're headed this year. And now the controversial part of that is I don't think it necessarily has to reflect itself in the results, although I do think the results do generally follow, much like they did at the end of the 22-23 basketball season, like we talked about, and at points during the during the Will Bolt era to lead to this. That's even a different story as well. The results will generally follow it, but you only get 12 data points in a football season. And it's just like
And every one of those you dissect about a million different ways.
There's just
for
a lot
6
of
days
there's
until the next.
there's not enough ebbs and flows in a football season to really have different pictures of sort of what happened. But what I'm saying is this is a call for urgency. Like they need to be defined more than anything. Like you'd love to see, of course, you'd love to see them go 10-2 or whatever, or 9-3 this year. Like I just think that's sort of out of the picture a little bit. I think they need to define themselves. I think that's what these other programs have done. They've sort of defined themselves a little bit. They know what they're about. And I know with Will Bolt and baseball, that comes with certain limitations. We just saw them.
Yep.
We just saw the limitations in the regional. But
so, for his evolution, like
but they're going to be good every year.
How can you take tenets of that and continue to make yourself just a little bit better so you're not constantly 1 and 2 in regional situations?
Yep.
Whether it's figuring out how to develop more pitching depth, whether it is a mentality shift instead of the red ass baseball boy grind it out until the last second. There's something else that comes in there. I don't know what it is. That's difficult. I think he is got a lot less to work with in terms of maneuverability than Matt Rule does with Nebraska football, if that makes sense.
Maybe. I mean, obviously there's significantly less money, but
sure,
the competition, I mean, I don't know, like Will Bolt and Nebraska baseball are outspending almost everybody in the Big Ten.
I mean, they're invested in the conference relative to the country at large, not so much.
Matthew says difference is when Hoiberg pivoted, he installed a team identity that provided results the past 2 seasons. Rule has pivoted, yet no identity has come with it. Rule is pivoting, I think.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think
Rule pivoted at the end of his second season with Dana Holgerson, and that did what it did last year.
Yeah,
my thoughts on Dana are well known.
They actually pivoted. They pivoted the wrong direction and got called for a travel, and now they have to pivot back. Make sure to keep your plant
you just
foot.
described made me think of the meme of where they have the villain in Scooby-Doo and they pull the mask off and it's just another mask underneath. That is basically the pivot of Satterfield to Holgerson, Nebraska's offense.
Just go back. Just go back to what you were. I want to see it. I want to see what they were trying to be. And
And that's why I think Corey Brown's such a huge part of it, because I think the defensive line has to be so much better for Nebraska football to take a step forward.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, in some ways, it's remarkable. The schedule allowed for them to win 7 games with as bad of a defensive line as they had. And as, bad as Terry Braden was as a coach, based on numerous different accounts of how things were over there. So we'll see if Corey Brown himself is a big enough shift. I think the Rob Arch piece of this is really fascinating. If he's able to implement a system that you kind of have something to go off of after a year where it felt very throw your hands up, what the hell are we doing here?
Absolutely. They need to have that.
So
that's who I'm looking
at. Some of this is Matt Rule has to empower other people and allow them to continue to move forward, because that's where I think things got tricky after partway through the second year, where it's not going extremely well and he inserts himself and then you have Phil Snow coming in. I don't need that.
Yeah.
And I know that Tony White and Terrence Knighton didn't either.
402-951-1620. Hit us up. I know you guys got thoughts on that. It was sort of a wide-ranging conversation for a variety of different reasons. Got some texts here and some tweets that we can get to. We will do that on the other side on Happer and Schaefer at 1620 The Zone. All right, continuing off of the previous conversation about a lot of things. John from Salina writes in, he says, in year 4, our coaching staff should have built a team to at least have a winning record in their conference. See, I guess this is an issue. And like at a certain point, the record absolutely matters. And I'm not saying that it doesn't. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't think really critically about the things that have happened for the first 4 years. And once again, I'd like to make my position crystal clear. I don't know where this is going. I do not have enough information to be like, oh my, I have the utmost confidence and faith and Rule that he is going to figure this out. I really don't. I don't necessarily trust it at this point. But I'm saying we'll find out a lot this year. Like I do think this is a big year to sort of figure that piece of it out. And part of our conversation that we just had in the last segment was, yeah, you pivot and you change some things around and you move and you learn as you go. And I don't know that they've necessarily settled on a quote unquote direction yet. And it's frustrating, but I don't know that I don't know that they should have on day one or whatever it is, but there is a way where you can pivot the right direction.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Look,
whether they get it right, I don't know.
I want to see what happens coming off of an offseason where they switched their defensive coordinator. I'm intrigued by the guy that they hired. I want to see what Jeep Wade does with the players that he helped bring in from the transfer portal and an offensive line that on paper looks as good as anything as they've had in a while. And I'm obviously interested in the Calandria piece. Is it all going to work? Probably not. Can some of it work well enough for Nebraska to be a better version than they've been the last 3 years and that there continues to be a slight arrow up of what they are? Yes, I think so.
Is this year 1?
Is year 4, year 1?
I know people don't like to hear it, but let's be honest. I mean,
again, this is where the reset thing comes in.
It is a reset. I don't care what he thinks. Like it's a reset. I don't care that he doesn't like it.
Yeah,
it's an absolute reset.
I mean, there's a lot.
They got a different staff. They have it.
Different quarterback.
They're going back to their roots as far as how
mentality.
It is a reset. It is a reset.
It's a reset in the sense that they aborted what they were doing before.
Yeah,
they hit an eject.
And he said, like, his response to that question was like, no, you just change and adapt and you do this and you do like, yes, while hitting the reset button.
Is it evolution?
It's both. It's both.
It is.
I get the people.
I'm with you on that.
It is.
There's no argument for me on that.
John Wright said, he follows up before he says, I don't watch basketball, but I have said it before. Even someone like me who hates basketball could actually see what it was that Hoiberg was trying to do. Okay, so let me challenge that real quick. There is no way in anyone's right mind that we knew that. I mean,
I have no idea what the hell he was doing with Delano Bandy.
Actually, I know what he was trying to do his first 3 years. It was the dumbest thing ever. That was
take a random collection of players and win basketball games.
Yes. I don't know what he thought about the job or whatever that was going to lend him the ability
a person that he trusted implicitly, and it went against everything he wanted on a basketball.
I don't know why he thought that was a good idea.
Don't either, but that person continued to get work. People really respected,
then
Abdelmas's ability,
and now has stopped.
Well, yes. For the time being.
For the time being, that's for sure. But I don't know. I mean, I know what they were trying to do. I know we all knew it was the wrong thing.
Sure.
Is that even worse? Like I knew what, I guess I think
that's what made it so inexplicable in the moment of it happening is like, this doesn't seem like anything that you're attempting to do. And that's also what made it so obvious in 22-23 that things had shifted in that regard, because you could see it both in terms of results. They got to 500 and just with the way they were playing on the court, relative to what it looked like before, where there was no rhyme or reason for a lot of it.
Yeah. And so I guess like to John's point, I suppose a little bit like you did definitely know what they were trying to do. It was bad and wrong and incorrect.
You didn't know why they were
I don't know why they were trying to do it. Yeah. But I mean, with Rule, the big complaint over the last 2 years is I don't know what they're trying to do. I didn't know what they were trying to do. I definitely knew what they were trying to do.
Oh, I know what they
in
were
it-
trying to do.
in
They
his
tried to
first
build an
year.
offensive team, and they didn't have an offensive team. You can't invest that much resources in your offense and then still score 20 points a game. You just can't.
I don't know why. I also don't know why they were doing that.
Dylan Raiola. They had Dylan Raiola. They tried to build their offense with wide receivers
But
around it.
it's crazy to me that you thought that and then sacrificed. I mean, they didn't replace Tony White.
Yeah.
They decided to replace Tony White with
The aggregate.
Yeah, that is
And it didn't work.
That is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Given what he came in here and did in his first year with that defense.
No, I think
they
very
better be
highly of Tony White.
So maybe that's like, we're sort of skirting around the idea here. Not only do we need to know what they're going to be this year, like it needs to be pretty much exactly what they were trying to be
in 23.
Like that is the path, I think, for Rule. I think that's the path.
I think there's ways that it could go, but I think that having a really strong defense and him being more of a defensive oriented, Nebraska being a defensive oriented program, is a better, a more likely path to consistent success. I agree with that.
Yep, that's where I'm at. Let's take a phone call here on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Here's Brian this morning. Hey, Brian, what's up?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good.
Good. Okay, so yeah, you got my wheels turning now. So I'm thinking here. I got a few points on Rule. I guess the first point is the difference between him and Hoiberg is Hoiberg didn't. I mean, I guess Hoiberg didn't come. Hoiberg's not getting on podcasts and saying he's going to do this and that, and then doesn't do it. So that's number one. Number two is, does Rule have a hard time getting along with assistants? Because it seems like anybody we ever have that's any good, he runs off. White, Eckler. It doesn't sound like maybe him and Satterfield have the best relationship. Or not Satterfield, Holgerson, but I may be wrong there. I don't know.
Is that it, Brian? We'll try and answer all your questions in one.
Okay, one more. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Thing.
You're good.
And I think this rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Is, I mean, it's been talked about tonight. I mean, he just has more, resources than your teams that he should beat. Your Minnesota, your Iowa, your Illinois. I'm not trying to say Ohio State and Oregon and those teams. I'm just saying he doesn't win the games he should win.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the 3 points I'm touching on. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the call. We'll answer.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah. By the way, so point number one, don't care about the stupid podcast thing.
I don't either.
All right. Point number two was regarding the
coaching staff.
Oh, yes. Does he get along with assistants? So complicated, I guess. I think Matt Rule, we've talked about it a lot, can be sort of difficult to work for in the sense that
he demands a lot.
He definitely demands a lot. I want to see him have a group of young coach. I just want to see him get back to what they were trying to beat first.
Sure.
I think there were so many reasons why last year and the last 2 years, I guess, combined went quote unquote off the rails a little bit. And, as it pertains to the coaching staff and a variety of different things, they're like, I want to see what happens when they build toward a linear, consistent thing with that coaching staff.
So as it relates to the coaching staff, I think it's important to acknowledge that a lot of Matt Rule's career has been giving guys their first opportunity to be an assistant coach, and then they move on usually to better opportunities or other opportunities. And so I think
a couple examples of that, not many.
Well, I mean, I think Fran Brown's one of his guys.
I'm talking about at Nebraska.
Oh, that hasn't worked out. Some of it is it hasn't gone the way that it did at Temple and at, all these other places. I think he very much likes that idea of more of a revolving door at a coaching staff than previous coaches that you would encounter. I'm 99% sure we've had a conversation with either Sam or Mitch Sherman about that entire idea, that he tends to want guys to move on and move out to bring in different coaches. And what we have seen throughout college football is consistency with staff can be a really valuable thing as you build your program. So that's kind of a push-pull relationship. I want to say it was a Sam conversation sometime in the spring, but I remember sort of that conversation coming up. I don't know.
I don't think that has mattered here.
No, because they haven't had the success that they've had elsewhere.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean...
So Brian's question is like, why are these trusted, assistants just leaving?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the case of Tony White, it was basically the writings on the wall. We're bringing in Phil Snow to be a consultant of your defense, i.e., I don't know that I trust what we're doing here. And if you're Tony White, there's opportunity elsewhere. I don't know why Terrence Knighton left, other than maybe he enjoyed working with Tony White.
Yeah.
And there could have been more money involved at Florida. Other than that, he played for Matt Rule. Like, I don't think there was a bad relationship with Matt Rule and Terrence Knighton. I think he'd rather go with Tony White and do that than stay here at Nebraska. I mean, there's also the element of, would you rather live in Florida with no income tax or live in Nebraska where there's winters? I think that plays into a factor sometimes with it. They haven't lit the world on fire, it should be pointed out, at Florida State either. I hear constantly from our Florida State guy that's like, hey, you told me these guys were going to be good at recruiting. It's not going so well. Okay, well, that works how it works. I don't think there's any issue with Dana Holgerson and Matt Rule that I know of. Those guys couldn't be more different personality-wise, but I think that they have largely come to the same conclusion as to, this is what Dana's here to do. You're letting him kind of run things offensively.
Yeah, and then as far as the resources are concerned, to Brian's last point, before we get to the headlines here, we got to do that quick. But I all I hear is resources, and this is probably building up to potentially be a rant gong at some point. But like all we ever friggin' talk about in this stupid state is resources. They have the most resources. They have this and this and this and this. They have the great resources. Yes, they have the awesome resources. I don't care about it anymore. Like, you have less resources, have more resources, have as many resources as you want. That's all stupid to me. It's all whoosy whatsy. It's fairy dust. They are good and they have enough support to be in the club. They're in the club.
Yeah, and that's what I think Brian is saying.
Be better.
Is that with all of that support, it's fair to expect more, and I don't think either of you and I would argue that.
Absolutely, 100%. We'll be back with the headlines after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Time for the headlines with our recent birthday boy, Joey. What's up?
Okay, police investigate videos of men mysteriously emerging from New York City sewers.
I like the extra emphasis on the mysteriously, and that sounds intriguing right away.
Men too, so it's more than just one.
Yeah, it's not like mysterious
It's plural.
figures,
Yeah.
and it's not mysterious man. It's mysterious men.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right, I want to know more,
Okay.
but I want to know our next headline also.
Speaking of men, man named Looney Tune sentenced after police chase and shooting.
Okay.
Fascinating that
Just-
his name is Looney Tune.
It is.
But
Other than knowing what exactly the sentencing and the context, I want to know more about the mysterious sewer men.
do we want to cheat and find out what Mr. Tune did?
If you have the information, I would not shout you down.
First degree attempted assault with a firearm, unlawful use of a firearm, felon in possession of a firearm, and second degree escape. He had a gun.
That's all, folks.
Mr.
Second degree. Well done, Joey.
All right. Police investigate videos of men mysteriously emerging from New York City sewers from NBCnews.com. Videos of men mysteriously emerging from New York City sewers have drawn the attention of police, who insist there is, quote, no threat to the public, authorities said Monday. Social media posts appear to show groups of men, not affiliated with any public works crew, climbing out of manholes in various Brooklyn neighborhoods this week. There haven't been any immediate arrests in the apparent trespassing incidents. Police are pursuing their leading theory that the group is, quote, scouring the system for valuables that get into the sewage, a senior law enforcement official told NBC News. The NYPD, to make sure there was not a threat to the public, sent their highly trained emergency services unit into the sewer system to make sure nothing nefarious had been left behind by the individuals and nothing was found. And the city environmental protection department, which manages the system, also went in and apparently found no damage to the sewer system equipment, the official said. The video, timestamped 2 a.m. on Friday, showed a man in a white shirt seen picking up a manhole cover, allowing 7 men to emerge. All of them appear to be wearing coveralls or protective clothing before quickly changing into different clothes near McDonald and Bedford Avenues. Another video also shot in Brooklyn saw a man in a red shirt opening a manhole from cover underneath, dangerously climbing into a street with traffic near Hayward and Bedford. 6 people emerged from that manhole, with at least 3 of them carrying shovels. They all appear to be wearing or carrying headlamps. Investigators have not immediately linked the 2 incidents. There were no injuries reported. There are no arrests, and the investigation remains ongoing. Wow. That is quite the what's going on here. What are the chances that this is a bit? That this is a YouTube?
Definitely not a bit.
You don't think this is a YouTube thing?
No.
Really?
Haven't seen anything.
I think there's like a 40% chance this is
That
I don't think it's a
really
TikTok
high.
a
thing
YouTube
either.
video.
I want to believe that it is a relatively poorly planned attempt at a heist and that they're
Okay.
trying to dig a tunnel into something.
Let me offer
Some
you another.
version of Inside Man meets Lady Killers.
What if it is Tom Wamsgam's bachelor party? Remember when they kind of nefariously
Are
went
they still
into the
getting married?
sewers?
They ended up getting married, right? Like they
Yes, they
what
did.
an unhappy life those people would
Tough.
live.
It was tough.
Good Lord.
They might be looking for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They could be.
That could be.
We
That
have
could
great
be.
options here. We're going to see a YouTube video about this on some streamer's account in like 4 days.
Now, it would be a bit if they were wearing Teenage Mutant Ninja
So what
Turtles.
would the
That's
point
true.
of the
Costumes.
shovels be?
We went into the New York City sewers and had headlamps and shovels to see how many people we can confuse.
Sounds like a Mr. Beast challenge.
It kind of does. That's what I'm going with.
I'm gonna be so mad if that's what it ends up being.
Those are the headlines. We will come back halfway home on a Tuesday on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. We need to come up with a name for like today/yesterday, June 1st, June 2nd. It's the start of the second half of the year, or I guess it's not the start of the second half of the year, right? That would be July 1st.
Yeah, that's July.
Yeah.
Okay, so why then have I been getting all of the like subscription renewals have happened within the last like 24? I've gotten a bunch of emails like your card has been charged. I guess it was just the first of the month.
Yeah,
This is
I
a
mean, I
great-
don't know. Like maybe you just have a bunch of stuff that you subscribe to at the beginning of or the end of May or beginning of June, and so now it's just a time for
Maybe
all of this stuff to come up.
this is just a me thing.
We need
they're-
to get you on one of those commercials where they ask you how many subscriptions you have, and then
They
you're like,
do.
I think like 8, and then they show it to you, you're like 37.
I would be a
Here, you can
great
save some money.
brand ambassador for whichever one of those services does the thing where it tells me how many subscriptions I have, and it's way more than I thought I had. Like, I just lost
Rocket
track.
Money, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just lost track way too long ago.
Yeah.
And so now it's like money doesn't even matter anymore. It's just fake. It doesn't even exist. Everything is basically free except for once a month or potentially bi-yearly.
I somehow was subscribed to Spotify without knowing it for like a 3-month period.
That feels right.
And was very angered by it and still have no idea why or how.
Sometimes they just do it automatically.
Well, you'd have to give them your card, and I don't recall ever paying for anything with Spotify.
Maybe you give them
So-
like a gift card or something.
Yeah, well, that's what people suggest is you use the prepaid visas to pay for some of this stuff. So then when it tries to auto renew, it can't.
Yeah.
There's no money there.
Yeah.
And so then you sort of avoid being in the endless cycle of the auto renew. And having come from a world where we very much valued the auto renew because that was a big part of maintaining your subs year over year,
Mhm.
They really don't care about you. They just want your money.
Nobody writes in on YouTube. You don't need an app to show you your subscriptions. Just look at your bank and credit statements. Wow, what an idea!
It would require you to look at your bank and credit statement.
I could certainly do that. The problem
Did you-
is, like it is with everybody else, they happen at all different days of the month and year, and you don't know exactly what the.
Did you take like a high school personal finance class or anything like that?
No,
I did,
I don't know that it would have helped.
and I don't remember a whole lot from that.
Remember as it was happening, and it's 2005 or whatever, and we're going over balancing the checkbook. And even in my brain at that point, it was like, I really won't need to do this
Balancing a checkbook.
because the entire system is online now. So
Mhm.
like, I don't.
It's
need to-
balanced.
I don't need to have the back of the checkbook to do all the math. Now, I know people that this is something that they still do to this day, which dumbfounds me because I tried really hard to never write a check.
They
I
balance
don't-
checkbooks still?
Yeah, people love
Who
what?
writes checks?
people still write checks. It's a way that they track how the
Joe,
money's
are you
going in and
writing
out.
checks?
I had to write a check for my first apartment.
That's normal. I mean, of course.
Yeah,
first,
that was the only time I was using
first month
them
rent, whatever,
Sure.
of course.
when I was
that's
doing
normal.
rent.
I-
That was the only time I had to deal with that.
I can't remember. The only time I pulled checks out of my
Some people
checkbook.
write checks because you don't get charged the processing fees of a credit card. The last time I wrote a check was for the Douglas County to the DMV because I didn't want the processing fee or whatever it was. Maybe it's
Like for your
Lancaster.
registration?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a significant amount of money. I was thinking like I did a thing where I changed my address on my driver's license. They charge you $17.50 to
run a card.
they charge you $17.50 for the new license. And then when you actually run the car, it's like an extra $1 or
Yeah.
something like that. I'm like,
This could have been a TikTok segment.
it's not annoying enough for me to not do it, but it is annoying.
I hate when I find myself in a situation and I have to go to a ATM and you know that you are
Yeah.
going to. Now, I think my bank has it to where you get like a few free a year or whatever. And so sometimes it ends up
There are
getting
some
credited back.
there are some things
I
that
hate
credit
paying
back.
a fee on getting my own money out of a cash.
Don't go to Vegas or bring cash to
Oh,
Vegas.
If I'm going to Vegas, I have like envelopes of cash with me. Like I am not showing up without cash.
That's
to
what
go to
makes
Vegas.
the Vegas people watching experience so much better, because you know how much more sad it is to go, not sad, but you know how much more it hits when you go to the ATM in
Oh, yeah.
Vegas, because it costs $14.50 to get your own money out of your own bank account.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the saddest
Or
places to go to an
$22.50
ATM.
or whatever
You
it
go
is.
to an ATM at like a concert or a venue or
Ugh.
a sports, arena. If you go to a gentleman's establishment, you watch people going to there and they're getting their money, and there's $20 extra in fees for the $20 you're getting out right now. Like, very sad places to go to an ATM. Avoid it as much as you can.
The only time I will write a check, or the only time I pull a check out of my checkbook is when I need to run a new, I get another job.
Yeah, you got to have the voided check.
Ah, crap! I've got a 9th job.
Which, I don't understand why we need to give a voided check when you can just give the routing number and the bank account number.
Most places have figured that out.
Yeah, like, why do I have to write void on this?
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that can just be done.
You have to pay quite a bit of money to get your checks now, like the check blanks and everything.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, it's not like a super cheap thing.
I haven't bought a checkbook since I got my checking account.
I haven't had it in a while, but I remember the last time I was like, we got charged this for something I don't even want to use. That's stupid.
It's when you really start to add up all the fees and all the nonsense, it really gets very annoying.
You
very
got to
quickly.
avoid the nonsense.
So this is another reason why people don't look at their bank statements, because they don't want to see all the nonsense that they've been charged for, because it bothers them more than they will actually be willing to, do something about it.
Or,
put me in that category completely.
They're Matt McMaster and they rack up a bunch of parking tickets and then all of a sudden have very large fees when they don't pay them on time. That was like one of our earliest crossovers.
I get it. You have to pay them, but paying parking tickets is very frustrating.
Oh yeah, no, it's
that is one that
you want to do it before it's due, so you don't have to pay even more for something that's idiotic to begin with.
That's a really hard one to pay for me.
Yeah, no, I get
parking tickets is and parking meters and parking stalls. And the parking banks where you have to go to the thing and type in your license plate. You have to download an app to do it. That's one of the hardest places for me to spend my money.
Yeah, no, I get it.
In my life, I spend money on the most nonsense things that a person could imagine, but it's parking that really, really gets under my skin.
I think because of how rarely I ever go downtown, I never have to deal with paid parking in Omaha in a way. Like in Lincoln, it was multiple times a week. I found myself downtown going somewhere having to pay the passport or something $2.25 for an hour so I could go to lunch or whatever it was. So dumb.
Black guy writes in, he says, I had to pay Council Bluffs traffic cam ticket yesterday. So that if you ever got have you ever got the traffic cam in the mail?
Oh yeah. I got it from Texas.
So in rental cars, like they will find you.
Rental cars, you need to, if you think you're going to, not necessarily a traffic cam, but if you think you're going to go through a toll area, you pay it up front, because rental cars will come after you on that.
Mm-hmm. They'll
I have
smoke
some friends that found out the hard way that you can't avoid that.
I was like, where was I? And then sure enough, there was a picture of me driving down the road. So I'm like, damn it.
I would love to see that picture.
Damn it. This is so frustrating. And I had forgotten all about it because it was however many months ago. And they finally tracked me down. Very, very sad. Stibbs writes in. He says, pretty sure I have a warrant out for me in Chicago for multiple parking tickets in Chicago when I lived there in 2011. Honestly, great move. Just, get a bunch of parking tickets and dip.
Yeah, just move out of the city.
That was always the challenge with like parking at school, at college. You're like, all right, how many tickets am I away from the boot? And as long as I stay one away from the boot, I'm willing to live with myself.
I got the boot once, right?
I heard that you got the boot.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I had played cat and mouse with the University of Nebraska parking officials for 5 years.
Nice.
And then I got it, and I will never I was so mad because it's the stupid crossover press conference that happened with the state football playoff games being played in Memorial Stadium. So parking was more of a mess than usual.
Yes.
And so I end up in one
You're
of
like,
those,
I'm not doing this today. I'll take the ticket.
I end up in the lot over by Hawks, and it's like I know there's a countdown, but I also know that like I'm only here for a couple interviews. I'm gonna get out in 45 minutes. I'll be fine. I was not fine. I then had to make the slow march over to the parking office and be like, I got a boot on my car.
It's always at the worst time too,
And they're like, this is what you owe.
because there's never really a
This
good
is
time
what
to
you
get
would
a
have
boot.
owed had you just paid your tickets. This is what you owe now.
There's never a good time to get a boot.
No, that was a sad, sad day.
But you always had to stay one away from the
Yeah.
boot.
Pretty sure that was there was 2016, and later that week, the bloodbath over in Iowa would occur.
Oh,
That was quite
the
week.
2016 state championship
Yeah, who played?
would have been with who and who.
Well, let's look it up.
I apologize to our local high schools who
Off
I
the
do
top
not
of my
remember.
head, I want to say it was an Omaha North year
Oh,
for the class. But the class day wouldn't have been going on. Like what would have been going on would have been D2
was
or
during the
something at
day.
that time, yeah.
see, that I would have absolutely no memory of. That's for sure. John writes in, he says, if you think ATM fees are bad, how do you feel about the $1,000 per month in property tax you pay to live in your own home? Well,
Does he have the right show?
it's not it's not fun to think about. It's not fun to think about. What happened in the 2016 state championship games?
2016 championship finals. There's a Class A, Bellevue West 43, Omaha North 6. Class B, Elkhorn South 34, Scott Catholic 32. That sounds like a heck of a game. C1,
I probably would have been doing that
O'Neill
game.
beats Bishop Newman. C2, we have Wilbur Claytonia over Crofton 20-0. D1, we're now in the range of where it might have been one of these games. Burwell beats Guardians Angels Central Catholic 47-18. And D2, Falls City Sacred Heart 44, Twin Loop 28.
During one of
these
those fateful games,
I got a boot.
Schaefer got a boot on his car and had to sad Charlie Brown walk his way over to
that
the
walk
office.
sucked. And then the stupid smile on the stupid kids who work in the stupid parking.
Oh man, those guys were aggressive.
Oh yeah,
Those guys were
you give someone like a
power
small
hungry over
modicum
there.
of power, and they wielded it.
relentless.
They are
wielded
power.
it.
They are power hungry over there at the park.
I oftentimes thought like maybe I want to do that job. Like imagine the power that you are
You
given.
want authority.
Yeah.
Is there like a twinge of it where it's, hey, I could ruin someone's day?
I'm a big rule follower, man.
You are.
Even though
Actually, to be honest, like I would be surprised that you'd ever get a parking ticket.
this is one of the, it's just like a principle. Like, I don't know what you're talking about with Matt and the parking stuff. Like, I just don't really enjoy paying the parking.
No, I hate it.
Yeah.
I got
But
to
having that boot, basically, like I paid so much money at a time where I didn't have that much money to not have that boot. Like it was a very costly.
It's a tight wire act, but that's
And
just
I got
one.
5 years out of playing hide and seek with the.
Yeah,
parking.
right. And so
I made a game
live
of
with
it.
it.
I lost, and that was the end of the game.
I got several tickets during my time at UNO, but I won my appeals because they do not read my parking sticker. on the card.
they got it wrong.
Yeah, they got it wrong.
Wow,
my
you
mo-
were hosed.
So
Joey.
my mom used to work at the med center, and she had faculty parking. Since COVID, she was working from home. Therefore, she gave me her parking pass so I could park in the lot on campus.
So was it on the wrong car? So were you
my car was listed. Is just they
okay.
weren't really sure.
Dang.
But I got flagged a couple of times.
Now
and I
that would
won
be
my
the
appeal.
worst thing. Now that
Yeah.
would be the worst thing ever.
Yes.
If you actually had the correct parking pass, you spent the money, and then you still got a ticket.
Yeah.
I would be very, very triggered if that happened. By the way, Theo continually writes in on YouTube, and he's wondering if we're simply avoiding the conversation about the announcement yesterday. Did you see the announcement?
There was an announcement.
Yes.
Hmm?
A pregnancy announcement.
Oh. Well, I thought we would get to that at some point.
Well, here we are.
Okay.
We
Seems like as good of a time as any.
We have a moment right now. Congrats to Jordy and Trey Fromm. We'll have baby Fromm in December of 2026. This is where everybody takes a minute and they pause and they think, okay, How many months does the bun go in the oven? 9. What month is it now? December. Interesting. There's so you can say that Jordy Fromm played her final season of softball while pregnant. The majority, possibly a lot of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, she basically was pregnant while pitching a no-hitter, having hit a leadoff home run.
Yeah.
In the last softball game of
it
her
really
career.
adds to the adds to the allure, it adds to the legacy.
It adds even to like, man, if they could have even gone a step further, what that would have, just like doing all of this as that's going on. It's just
Do you think if they would have won the Natty, would she have announced it right after the game?
probably.
I bet she had a whole
This
plan.
is great, but in December it's going to be even better for me.
I bet she had a whole plan of we're gonna win the national championship, and then you're gonna, the crotch chopping guy is gonna come out onto the field, aka my husband, is gonna come out onto the field, and they are together going to announce their child will be coming in 6 months.
I hope that baby's one of its first outfits is the tiny little overalls, red and white
candy striped overall.
Yeah. And they sort of just force the hands to awkwardly be, that would be amazing.
Look at him. Takes after his daddy.
Congrats to the Froms. That's outstanding news.
Yeah.
Truly outstanding news.
I was thinking about ways to, just a little behind the scenes here. My brain started turning on ways to turn this into a bit yesterday. And, I stopped before I went really far down the road. What I ended up kind of landing on in my head that we did not do is I would pretend to not know how pregnancy works. And I couldn't quite develop the idea completely in my head. And so we never got there.
I'm glad
just so you know, we didn't do that.
I'm glad you didn't commit fully to that. That would have presented some interesting conversation for sure.
People are tuning in and out. The Albuquerque truck drivers are driving through. They're like, this guy doesn't know anything about pregnancy.
That is one of my favorite Sipple bits that I don't even think he realizes is a bit when he does the Albuquerque. I was a truck driver
in Albuquerque,
Las Cruces, New Mexico.
And I was just driving through. I'd be like, what are these guys talking about? And that's his excuse for saying the same thing repeatedly over and over again. Matt Rule, the head coach at Nebraska. Yes, I know.
Oh,
everyone knows. Anyway, congratulations to the Froms. No bits necessary and no bits required. But it does make their success this year very, very I don't know, it just puts an extra different twinge on it, that's for sure. Before we get to Mitch here, and we'll talk about the big picture. We still have to do our power rankings with tiers.
9 o'clock hour.
9 o'clock hour. Stay tuned for that. Yesterday, a couple baseball things here. So baseball seasons are ending for most teams, all but 16 around the country. Yesterday, there was some confusion and a mild instance of panic because Ty Horn announced something mildly cryptic on his Instagram. It was like, he said, "Thank you, Nebraska," or something like that. He's going to the draft.
I'm assuming he's getting drafted, and I'm assuming he's going to go.
Yeah, that me too. That sounds like I'm going to the
Dylan
draft.
But Dylan Carey thought he was going to get drafted too and ended up back in Nebraska. You just never know.
But usually when you give off when you tell everybody, hey, look, I'm not coming back to Nebraska, draft me, they will draft you if they think you're good enough.
Well, yeah.
But I guess it didn't work that way for Dylan Carey.
Right.
We know that, as we talked about with Bruns yesterday, we know that Carson Yassa is almost for sure getting drafted high enough to go.
This would be a top 10 round guy, there's a big distinction in the first 10 rounds and the last 10 rounds.
Haven't seen any Nebraska portal action yet. I guess I haven't checked today.
Yeah, yesterday was a big baseball portal day.
Yesterday, the baseball portal opened, I believe, which is pretty controversial considering that we are in the middle of the NCAA tournament.
But as the NCAA loves to have it for seemingly every sport that isn't basketball, the portal goes on while the off season hasn't begun.
So there's been an interesting topic that's sort of been bantied about in college baseball circles. The teams who make the College World Series are while they, in many cases, boast many advantages because of what they're given from a scholarship standpoint or a support standpoint, facilities, whatever it is. they are definitely at a premium disadvantage year over year. I heard Dave Van Horn talking about this, and it could come off as sour grapes and it could come off as an excuse. They were so good last year.
Right.
Obviously, they fell short disastrously in Omaha again. But they were so good, and they were trying to win a national championship, and they just straight up couldn't think about the guys were gone. By the time, like, you're doing portal work, you're trying to do as much as you possibly can, but you can't like bring guys on visits and anything like that. So I would imagine that they missed out on some guys because high-level guys, because they were in Omaha playing for a national championship.
I can be sympathetic to this to a point, but we just watched Indiana go 16-0 and put together a massive portal class before they had even beaten Oregon and several teams on their way to going 16-0. So, like, people have done it.
Yep.
Miami put together a massive class and went, finished second. Now,
you can do it.
Their massive class
makes it harder
after.
Yeah.
Like, they had that, but they're also... Some of this is where we get into a resource conversation of in football, you have all these other people that can probably do that.
They just stay.
Baseball famously has very few full-time people.
You take your entire operation on the road to the College World Series, even if you're as big of an operation
would be a
as
little bit
Arkansas.
more difficult, but I also know there's no way that Kurt Cignetti doesn't have his fingerprints over everything that they're doing.
But keep in mind what we're dealing with here in this tournament. There will be no repeat teams in Omaha.
Yeah.
There will be none from the Omaha 8 who make it to the Supers this year. Is that a coincidence? Because of those teams not being able to get it right in the portal last year? Maybe, maybe not. I like, there might be something there.
I feel like we know a lot less in baseball than we do in basketball and in football, which guys are portal players. Like, even yesterday, as I'm watching West Virginia, Kentucky, and then USC, A&M, and whatever else, to a lesser degree, Auburn and Milwaukee, I don't feel like the announcers are identifying it as much when guys are playing, in large part because you aren't covering this sport in the way that you cover basketball and football.
You're talking about like active.
Yeah, like, okay, like when a guy comes up to the plate and they're telling stories about him, I didn't feel like you were hearing, this guy transferred in from somewhere else.
I see.
In the way that every time Price Sanford made a 3, it was like, Nebraska's big transfer portal edition, Price Sanford carrying the team. You know what I mean?
That's true. Smaller teams.
A
Less
lot
coverage.
of it, I think, is just the way the sport is covered is so radically different.
Yeah. But many of them are.
I don't even remember Paul Skeens being talked about as a transfer as much.
That was a talked about storyline.
Well, I think it's because it was so early in the year, but by the time you're playing in the CWS, it's less of a thing.
That's true, but that was definitely a talked about thing.
Well, it was
transferred from
notable
Air Force.
because he came from Air Force,
right?
To then be like a pitching cyborg.
And what was the deal? Like he hit a home run off of because he was hitting at Air Force. He hit a home run off of one of his future teammates, obviously, because they had played each other in a non-con the year before.
Yeah, I don't remember how exactly he got linked up with Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson. But there was some connection there where he knew about Paul Skeens before really even the Air Force coach knew what they had.
Yeah, there was definitely a background story.
Because I think he played a year there knowing that he was going to be transferring.
The other thing locally, so I haven't seen any Nebraska guys going to the portal yet. You'll probably see a few of those over the next couple of days. Creighton had a couple. Isaac Waxman, who played center field for Creighton this year, had transferred in from Xavier. He goes back in the portal, first team All Big East guy.
Grad transfer. I don't know if that matters anymore.
He's graduated.
That's what it said. Kendall Rogers reported that it's a grad transfer. Like
I guess
the paperwork is submitted as a grad.
He is a redshirt junior.
Yeah.
So there's 4 years there. And then surprisingly yesterday, I saw that Connor Capisi went into the portal for Creighton as well. Local kid from Omaha. He had just finished up his 3rd year, second team All Big East this year. All tournament team the last 2 years. Really good player. Had briefly gone in the portal during the coaching staff changeover thing and now back in. So we'll keep an eye on that and what Creighton decides to do and how they can continue to build through the portal, because that is the story. It is busy in the college baseball portal. There is no doubt about that. Let's take a break. Mitch Sherman is up on the other side on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. We're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Hi, Mitch. What's up?
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good. Which is your favorite team left in the NCAA baseball field that has the mascot of a Trojan? Many to pick from.
I can think of two right off the bat.
There's three.
USC. What's Little Rock?
Little Rock, Troy, and USC all are Trojans.
Yes, that's way too early in the morning for me to just be able to pull that one out like that. That's I didn't know that about Little Rock. I just love Little Rock because Arkansas is at home, and there's a team from Arkansas playing. I like Arkansas, by the way. I like Dave Van Horn. I love seeing the Hogs in Omaha. They're not coming this year, but it's just a fantastic thing that Arkansas got knocked out in Little Rock. Their next door neighbor, who they probably don't like very much, or don't ever think about, is coming to super regionals. I don't think Little Rock. I think Trojan against Trojan super regional there in Troy. I'm kind of partial to Troy because I want to see what would happen if three teams from Alabama come to Omaha at the same time. That would be a culture shock for both sides.
You might have just answered it, but if you could just pick one of these matchups and guarantee that this winner is coming to Omaha.
Doesn't even have to be a Trojan.
Yeah, you're not confined to the Trojans. You can pick anything. Who do you want to see come to Omaha? But just one matchup.
One matchup or one team?
One team out of a matchup, out of a super regional.
Yeah. Well, for about the last 12 hours, I've had Country Roads just playing endlessly in my head, even while I was sleeping overnight. So I'm not sick of it yet. I think it has some staying power. I really just kind of want to see West Virginia. West Virginia
That's
has
my choice as well.
Surprisingly, not surprising to me, but I think would be surprising to maybe some Omahans, maybe just some more casual observers. Like, they would have a fearsome fan base.
Oh yeah,
I think, and I don't mean like fearsome in a like impressive. They would come in numbers. They would drive. They would do whatever was needed to come, and they don't even need hotels, I don't think. So, I would like to see that.
This is going to be living in the city, throughout the city. Is that what you're saying?
Sure.
Like the sewer people.
They don't. I don't think they care. Like, I mean, it's West Virginia, man. They're salt of the earth. They don't need hotels. So I don't even know what I'm saying.
We had this story earlier about this group of people in New York, in Brooklyn, who are apparently climbing out of manholes, and people are wondering.
Nobody knows what they're doing.
People are wondering what they're doing. Are you saying this is West Virginia fans? They're going to be climbing out of manholes?
They're not going to be climbing out of manholes. It's nice outside. You know, they're going to stay in hotels. Okay, they're going to.
Mitch doesn't think they have dwellings in West Virginia.
They're going to just make themselves at home. I think they would be very, very likable people, and they would sing their song, and it would be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun. It's one of those fan bases. The great thing about the College World Series is it brings together all of these iconic fan bases that are different for so many reasons. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got Stanford playing LSU, and it's totally normal. And it's again, like I talked about, the Alabama Omaha culture clash. Like it's always a part of the College World Series. And we've never experienced the West Virginia culture in this event. And I would love to see it.
Okay. One more on this idea. So I think somebody asked us this question yesterday, and now that it becomes more real with a certain team from Georgia's loss yesterday. Ugh. How would Kansas be received here in Omaha as both a team who has not been here for a long time, a regional team, easily travelable, but not a particularly likable group, just as far as the way that they play? I'm curious at what you think that might look like.
Yeah, I don't know that the Omaha college baseball fan pays enough attention during the year to understand some of the style that Kansas plays baseball with. If you watched closely the games against Nebraska and Creighton, in other games this year that you may have caught on ESPN or ESPN Plus. Like you might know that, you might see it. Well, I had a chance to meet some of them and talk to some of them, and they're a lot more enjoyable in person than they are as a TV viewer. They're not bad. They're not bad guys. They just like have a chip on their shoulder, and they're all from junior college basically, or like Division II or Division III, and like they're having fun. And yeah, they're a little brash, and they do they do some things that that make you shake your head if you're like a baseball traditionalist. But I could get behind them, I think, because it's another cool story. They've only been to Omaha once. Like Oregon, only been to Omaha once. You have these 4 teams on the one corner of the bracket in the super regional that are going to produce 2 participants that have never been to Omaha. And then you've got Oregon one time, Kansas one time. I don't know. I don't think that stuff would come back to bite Kansas at all unless they started playing like that on this stage and like really like leaning into it. And I don't think that would be the case. Like I think Kansas would probably be on pretty good behavior in the College World Series comparative to what they're normally like.
Yeah, right.
Before we dive into some Nebraska stuff, one more on the super regionals. If you could only watch one of the matchups, you could watch however number of games it takes, but you can only watch one. What one would you be most excited to take in this weekend?
Oregon at Texas.
Yeah,
I think that's mine too.
I really like the style. They're similar teams. I mean, one from the SEC and one from the Big Ten, and like that's some of it too, because they're huge brands from huge conferences that both believe they control college sports, and like they're alphas within those conferences. The athletic departments are. I mean, the baseball teams, yes, but they're not the biggest piece of that. So yeah, those 2 brands. I think is cool to be able to see, and the teams are kind of a mirror of each other too. They both have hit 100 home runs, and they have power arms, and that's going to be a fun series. And Oregon's is just desperate, I think, to get here. And Texas, it's their birthright. They've made it 38 times, more than any other program, but they've been on a 3-year drought. Which, oh my gosh, a 3-year drought. And Oregon, restarted baseball 17 years ago and thought we're just gonna stomp our little brother Oregon State into the ground, which has won 2 national championships in the last few years, and they have not made it. They have not made it in 17 years. So this is their 3rd super in 4 years. They've got more momentum now than Oregon has at any point since it restarted baseball. So I think that's a really interesting clash of programs and brands and their mentality right now.
Mitch, I was thinking about this last night, so I looked it up. Fred Hoiberg is the 8th longest tenured coach in the Big Ten. Will Bolt is the 6th longest tenured coach in the Big Ten. And obviously Ron Rivera has been around for a long time. Amy Williams is the 7th longest tenured coach in the Big Ten. How much does the experience of coaches who have been here for now 6+ seasons, particularly in those sports, how much do you feel like it is that is responsible, or how critical is that to their successes this season? Like the length of time in which they've been here figuring things out. Obviously, many of them had successful years this year. How big of a part of the equation is that?
Yeah, Mark Manning.
Mark Manning, yeah.
It's a big part of it. I don't think that's always the answer. I don't think you can just look at every situation and say, patience, stick with it. Like there are some times where that's just not the right move. In these cases, yeah, I think it's benefited all of them. Right now, every coach at every program nationally is like navigating through some turbulent waters in college sports, and you're trying to figure out how to make a roster work with your changed resources, whether that's a good change for the better or change for the worse. And yeah, it helps to have coaches who have been in the seat for a while and aren't worrying about and aren't spending a lot of their time on figuring out the landscape in their town, or like what the recruiting formula is, or having a ton of, not only have most of these coaches been in their seats for more than 6 years, and in some cases a lot longer. They've had their staffs together too, which is a big part of it. And the teams, some parts of the program run on autopilot, and that helps them focus on the things that are maybe harder today than ever have been.
Mitch, when you think about the end of Nebraska baseball season and everything that went into it, you finally get to the regional, or not get to, but you finally host a regional. You have a 40+ win season. What is there another step for Nebraska baseball to take as they're building this thing moving forward? Obviously, you want to win in a regional, but it's also really hard. I mean, we saw Georgia Tech go down. We saw UCLA go down.
Mm-hmm.
We saw, Southern Miss was number 9 and they went 0-2. Like it's a tough sport to get out of your regional.
Yeah.
Is there something different Nebraska can do as Will Bolt continues to put this thing together? Or as Happer and I talked yesterday, is it you just keep chopping wood and give yourself as many opportunities as you can?
It's hard, but it's also doable. And you're not, I think the message is you're not going to be able, the lesson learned is you're not going to be able to do it every year, no matter how good your roster looks and how great of a regular season you have. Nothing's guaranteed in the postseason, but there's opportunities for more teams than ever. And Kansas just did it in their, they had a good 2-year run, but it hasn't been a long build for Dan Fitzgerald there. And then, all these little programs, Little Rock and Troy and other teams that made runs and got close, like Milwaukee in the regionals. So for Nebraska, I don't think there's anything about what happened at Haymarket. Well, it's discouraging, but I don't think it's discouraging in the sense that you have to go back to square one. Like the formula, there's no reason for me to look at that and say, well, Nebraska is a Big Ten team building the way that it's building with the plan that it has, like just doesn't have any hope. Like if that's your takeaway from it, like take a step back and look around the country, like get outside of the little bubble here in the state and look at the teams that are making it work, and you just keep plugging. And you fix your holes and you take advantage of the resources that you have. Nebraska is going to get more money for scholarships here. They have already gotten more money for scholarships, but they're going to continue to get more. And it can be a separator for them from a lot of the teams they might run up against in the postseason, or some of the teams they might run up against. Maybe Nebraska in a different version of this same kind of situation in 3 years has been able to spend more money to have pitching depth. And when it's a 2-1 game against South Dakota State in the 6th inning of, or maybe it's not a 2-1 game, but if it's a close game and you've got to go to a trusted arm out of the bullpen, you don't have to go to Jay Sean Unger, and there's somebody else out there, and you can, and he's available. So then he's available. Your closer is available the next day when you're playing the big bats from the SEC and your starter is getting way up there in the pitch count. You don't have to leave him out there to throw 120 pitches. I mean, there's definitely things that Nebraska can take advantage of. And if I'm looking at specific areas where they can bolster their program, I'm saying pitching depth for sure is number one. And then continue to find guys who can hit 20 home runs a season.
Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. All right, Mitch, enjoy the Super Regionals this weekend. Have a good rest of your week.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. He'll provide some College World Series coverage as well coming up in just a couple weeks in Omaha. We'll take a break, round at the hour after this on 1620 The Zone. A destination announced yesterday for Iowa State transfer Milan Momcilovic. He ends up with BBN, Big Blue Nation. And is he going to make 50% of his threes at Kentucky this year? I don't know. Does their roster make sense? I don't really know, but they're paying their roster a lot of money.
What is their
And
roster?
Who knows that? Who's ever seen that go wrong before?
Never. Not them. Certainly a year ago.
Paying their roster a lot of money and having it make, I don't know, who knows how much sense.
What besides this edition? Who else? Their portal had went so poorly for them for much of April and May.
Yes.
And then I think they landed. Did they land the top recruit in the country for the 2026?
I don't know about their recruiting situation.
Yeah, I got to look at that.
They get a couple guys. They get a couple guys from Washington.
Okay.
And then
They get Zoom.
They got Zoom and
Stinks for Zoom.
A James Madison guy, and then a Furman guy, along with Mr. Momcilovic, who's reportedly going to get paid $6.5 million to play basketball for a season at Kentucky.
Okay. That's a lot of money.
Could be potentially more. I don't know. That is a lot of money. We heard that a couple days ago, St. John's got the commitment of Tunde Yesufu from Baylor. That was in the neighborhood of $6 million. So it sounds like where we tapped out this year in terms of the top portal market is about $6 to $7 million for the highest ranked players that were in there, paid by some of the top schools in terms of their NIL operation.
Which, like, Joey, help me out. NBA money, 6 points. Is that like a mid-level exception type?
I would say mid-level.
Did somebody say contracts?
Yeah, well,
did somebody say bird rights?
Joey would have thoughts on this.
Does he?
That
are you
like
you a contracts guy?
Not really.
I don't think you are.
Well, he's an
I don't
NBA
really
guy,
have.
But I think he has a better understanding than you and I. Well, at least
Certainly.
I would.
No.
Yeah.
I don't have a great understanding on how money works in the professional leagues.
Just trying to think of around a $7 million player in the NBA would be like.
I just know in the NBA,
like a mid-level guy.
I just know in the NBA they like to crack it down on teams trying to form super teams, and they have this thing called the second apron where you have to cut costs and move players somewhere else to just.
Oh, the luxury tax thing.
Yeah.
So what's Mark Pope cooking? I like Mark Pope. My dear friend Mark Pope. I like Mark Pope. I thought he was awesome at BYU, and I love his energy and all those different things. But he feels like a guy who got the keys to a very, 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 very nice car and doesn't really know how to drive it. Or doesn't. I mean, I think he knows how to drive, but I don't think he knows how to drive this particular car.
He could drive a car, but can he drive that car?
It's not a self-driving car.
Admittedly,
he
it's a
knows how to
difficult
drive
car.
an automatic, and this is more of a stick shift.
I'm not sure what the right comp would be.
Okay.
Admittedly, this is a difficult car to drive. It's Kentucky.
Is Kentucky more of a boat? Is it a sports car, and he doesn't know how to get it up to speed?
Maybe a semi-truck.
Okay.
Or something like that. But so we were talking about the Rams earlier and how they just get the benefit of the doubt when they do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm at the point with Kentucky where it's been
the opposite.
Yeah, it's kind of just like they just got the best dude in the country out of the portal. I mean, he shot 50% from 3 last year, and I'm like, I don't know, does this really work? How insane do you have to be to say that out loud? I guess we're finding out with me right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay, so for us to say this,
You have 25 seconds.
well, we can come back with this later. But for us to say it worked, what would it look like for Kentucky?
You gotta go deep
Final
into the
Four?
tournament.
Probably Final Four.
Maybe that far, yeah.
Elite 8.
All right, we will take a break. Our power rankings with tiers. We'll talk a little bit about college baseball. We could finish up this conversation as well. Coming up next on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, about 15 minutes. Jacob Padilla will join us. We have a lot of basketball stuff to talk about. Creighton's newest commit. We can now ask him about Kentucky.
The NBA Finals.
The NBA Finals.
He does love tennis too.
He does love tennis. Great point, Joe.
He's been tweeting about the Roland Garros.
All right, we're going to write down tennis. Many questions because that is something I would have forgotten.
I would love to know how you formulate your tennis question.
Hey, what do you think about the tennis?
There's so many upsets. What your thoughts? No Americans remaining.
What's going on with the tennis?
None. Everybody's out.
Tiafoe was up 4-1 in his closer set, and then he blew it in the fourth set.
The Americans failing at tennis again.
Yes, they did.
So plenty to come with Padilla coming up in just a few minutes. Before we do that, we're going to do our power rankings with tiers. I have a reminder for you that we are teaming up with Arby's for our summer sizzle giveaway. You could enter to win and score a combo meal every week all summer long. 13 weeks of Arby's, baby. No cooking, no stressing, just sizzling bites on us and Arby's. Enter now 1620thezone.com to make this your tastiest summer yet. Brought to you by, of course, our dear friends at Arby's. Okay, power rankings with tiers. We have 16 teams remaining in college baseball. There will be at least one Trojan in Omaha. Will it be USC? Will it be Troy? Will it be Little Rock? Will it be 2 out of the 3? We don't know yet. Could there be a Big East team in Omaha?
I rank these power ranking style, but tiered them in a way that I always try to, but I feel like I need to be more like emphatic about
Adhere to the tier.
Yeah.
Well,
so there's tiers, but
they
are ranked in how I think they are 1 through 16.
Okay, that's what we want. That's power rankings with tiers.
And I rank it as in terms of like best, not like who I most want to see or anything like that.
I have 3 tiers.
I have 7.
How do you have 7?
You'll find out.
All right.
I'm curious.
My first tier is Natty or Bust.
Ooh, okay.
These are teams that all will be coming here, or in theory will be coming here, thinking that they are going to win the national championship. Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, and Auburn.
Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, and Auburn. Interesting first tier. I have a tier called the South and could also just be the favorites. And I have the same exact 4 teams.
In order?
Not that order. Georgia, North Carolina, Auburn, Texas.
Okay, so we flipped Texas and Auburn. That's it at this point. We could get into our differences on what makes Texas better than Auburn or what makes Auburn better than Texas, but that's probably not worth anybody's time. My next tier, my second tier, is the biggest tier. It's called Giant Pile of I Have No Idea.
Okay.
All right. In order. Now, the order was difficult on this giant pile of I Have No Idea. So follow along. Oregon.
Yep.
Alabama.
Yep.
Ole Miss.
Yep.
Kansas.
Yep.
West Virginia.
Okay.
Mississippi State. USC.
Okay.
Oklahoma.
All right.
That's my group. I think any of those teams have upward mobility. They could win multiple games in Omaha, or they could not make Omaha.
We veer here because the next 2 teams, and I have these teams as like, they're definitely in sort of a ones to watch, but just grouped as the Big 12. I have it, you could argue 5-6. I have it West Virginia, Kansas, only because West Virginia swept Kansas the last time that they played.
Yeah.
I think these are the next best 2 teams.
I'm going body of work. I'm going with Kansas over West Virginia.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. They also handled their regional better.
So you like those 2 better than because I had Oregon, Alabama, Ole Miss each in front of them.
Yep. I like both of them.
You're a Big 12 enjoyer.
Big 12 looked good in postseason play.
Absolutely.
They comported themselves well.
You could argue that the Big 12 got hosed in terms of seeding this year.
No, I agree with that. Here is the one team that is in its own tier for the purposes of what I'm doing. This is upset alert. I think this team is solid. I think they're going to lose their super regional. Their name is Alabama.
St. John's, welcome to the College World Series. John LeGrande, Adam McGresty, and all them boys out there. Jader Rafe-Stanger and all them boys. Liam O'Leary and them boys.
Yep.
What you know about Jader Rafe-Stanger?
I know nothing. I know they just dominated that regional, and they look good. And you tell me they have 2 qualities.
They had
starters.
a guy who was puking on the mound yesterday.
Happens
Puking
all the time.
Bleh, bleh, bleh. That is Northeast power. They had a guy who forgot his entire uniform.
Let's hope he brings it to Tuscaloosa.
Let's hope there's gonna be more dudes puking this weekend. Wow, you think St. John's is gonna make the Connor World Series?
I do.
That
I
would
do.
be great for me because that would result in less time spent on prep.
Yeah,
I have already prepped them. I've broadcasted.
It'd be good
multiple
for your
games.
Big East brand as well. Next tier,
That I
just
don't
had
care
a tier
about.
of 1. Really like the team. Really tough road matchup, and this is where you get. I think the next best team. So I have Alabama at 7, USC at 8, Oregon at 9, Mississippi State at 10.
Okay, repeat that again one more time.
USC at 8, Oregon at 9, Mississippi State at 10.
USC is a tough one because
I think they're really good.
they had such a great weekend.
Yeah.
In the regional,
I just think they're really good.
I think the body of work just leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I get that too. I watched a lot of them over the weekend. They're good.
They good.
The way that Nebraska dismantled them and just beat the crap out of them
Doesn't make
gives
a lot
them a
of sense.
stench.
Yeah.
But they have really good pitching. I think North Carolina is not a lock to get out of that super regional because Mason Edwards and they have great pitching at USC and they can hit.
They do.
And they just went into College Station and won that on back-to-back nights of winning against A&M, where you have no margin for error, and they dominated those games. They shut them down pitching wise. So I think USC is dangerous. So that's why I have them where I do.
I just think that regional for them, Texas A&M, while they have some SEC thump, right?
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina has more, even though they're not in the SEC, right? They have
North Carolina
big,
went through. They had no problems with their regional at all.
They have DeCaro. They have frontline power starters in a good. I don't know. I just think there's more there than A&M.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that. And that's why, like I said, I have them in that where
I
really like the team. It's a tough matchup.
Okay. So you kind of ranked them with the matchup. I just ranked them.
Yeah. No, 1 through 16, some of it is how you've got to be able to get through your matchup too.
See, I didn't think that
I
way.
get that.
I did it differently. So my last tier is called "What the hell is going on?" When we have these 4
Fair
teams,
tier.
you know them all. The ranking, the order of them was difficult. Here's where I went: St. John's, Troy, Cal Poly, Little Rock. I think Little Rock
those are going to be my last. St. John's, Troy. Okay, so the only difference there, my last 4 teams are basically St. John's, Troy, Little Rock, Cal Poly.
So
I have them in 2 different tiers.
Have I been able to convince you all that St. John's is, while they are the plucky underdog and certainly, a team that is a little bit fish out of water in this situation, they are definitely better than Little Rock. They are
I think they're clear. I don't know about Troy. Troy's the one that, I have them better than
Troy's
Troy.
weird because Troy, there's some good ball down there.
Yeah. Well, and Troy went in and did the thing with Florida where they beat them twice in a row that I just talked about with the other Trojans.
Crap out of them last night.
Yeah. So my tier after the tough road matchup, I call this group regional ruiners. You have Oklahoma, you have Ole Miss. Ole Miss, they're physically impressive. They went through that regional. They didn't lose a game. I just don't know if it was that I felt like Nebraska was right in it. I think they have a lot of swing and miss, or that you could pitch through them a little bit if they don't hit the long ball. I don't know if they're going to put everything together. They did at times against Nebraska, but then Arizona State shut them down for long stretches at both of those games.
See, I think, those 2 teams are probably relatively interchangeable. Ole Miss has just more depth. And I like how you grouped Ole Miss with Oklahoma. I think those are 2 very.
I call them regional ruiners because the 2 teams I wanted to get out, obviously Nebraska and then Georgia Tech, and they took them both out.
Georgia Tech would have been a fun ride here in Omaha, and we did not get it.
Yep. And then would like to see them in Omaha, St. John's, Troy, and thanks for the memories, Little Rock and Cal Poly.
Letting them go off into because you don't want to see Cal Poly because you want to sing Country Roads.
I didn't want to sing Country Roads. I want to watch that unfold.
You want to watch the hillbillies sing
Yes.
Country Road? Is that
I
what
want them
you're
to
saying?
come out of the hills that we don't have
The
downtown.
sewers.
Are they going to live in the hills out by, the elevation out by us, or are they going to be in the Los Hills?
Oh, you
got to
go to the Los
over in
Hills.
Iowa.
Yeah.
They're just going to flood out of Council Tucky. Is that where West Virginia fans are going to come from?
I can't wait to see it.
I really want to see it. Now, Cal Poly, obviously, they won that regional. Like, they could win a super regional.
They most certainly could.
I think it's going to be hard to go to. The atmosphere in Morgantown was fantastic. We were talking about stadiums. Both of the stadiums of West Virginia and A&M look good on television.
Okay, this is fun. This is a fun game then. What has the best atmosphere this weekend? Finalists. West Virginia, Kansas, Georgia.
Georgia and Chapel Hill with North Carolina seem like they'd be. Oh, well, Austin. That's a good. Texas, Oregon is a good one.
Yeah. Yes, Texas for sure.
I don't know.
UNC doesn't really get it popping at the Bosch.
The problem with both Texas and North Carolina is that
Great place to play ball, not a huge
the sort of the birthright thing where it's like, yeah, we expect to be here.
Yeah.
Like this is,
great fan base, but it's not like foaming at the mouth.
Right.
I need to get to the College World Series or I'll die.
Build your ideal Connor World Series. I can tell you what mine is.
Okay. West Virginia. I don't care.
You got to pick it.
Troy,
Okay.
I suppose. North Carolina, Ole Miss. Let's go back to the top. Kansas. St. John's, Alabama is tough for the Connor World Series because it's probably St. John. Just a little.
You love that,
a
Justin.
little wink
Justin
to Connor.
LeBron, right?
We need
I
a
do
St.
like
John's,
Justin
Kansas rematch in baseball.
Oh,
Yeah,
You
because
would
they,
get
they,
that.
they,
That
they,
would
that's
be a
right.
game.
That would be
Because
the
they-
opening game. Yeah.
Maybe you would
From
get
basketball.
Patino and Bill Self.
Oh, we definitely
get them
Definitely
out to
would.
throw the first pitch.
Texas, Oregon. Give me a little new blood with Oregon, and then Georgia.
Yeah. So for me with this, it's West Virginia, it's Troy, it's USC, it's Auburn. It is, and on the other side, Kansas, St. John's. I forget what the matchup
Texas,
is.
Oregon,
Oregon, and then Georgia.
Mississippi State's fine too.
Yeah, I don't the SEC. You could switch either one of them. I'd rather
I think I
Auburn
prefer-
and Georgia.
I prefer Ole Miss to Auburn.
Okay,
Fan
fair.
base.
That's fair.
They're traveling. They up in here.
Yeah.
They've been here before. They've done. Auburn's obviously Auburn was here 4 years ago now.
I'm surprised by how few Ole Miss fans were in Lincoln.
Hmm.
They did not travel for that.
Lincoln's a hard place to get to, Schaefer.
Well, yeah,
You got
I
a
mean,
small airport.
An outpost.
You've got to drive in your car across the states of Missouri. Joey, how would you get to Lincoln from Oxford?
Oh my God,
From Oxford.
that would be horrific.
Well, you have to take I-50. You have to eventually get to I-55 and then go to I-70 to go across Missouri, then I-29 up to Omaha.
Oxford, Mississippi.
Well, you're going to Lincoln, so you have to get off and take Highway 2 to Lincoln.
Let's
Not
see.
even that bad of a drive.
Let's see if
It's
you're
11
right.
hours.
So you're going to start on 55. You're going to go through Memphis, north from Oxford, up through. You're still on 55 all the way. Is this what you said, Joey?
Yeah.
And then you meet up with over at Springfield. You meet up with.
So take.
You meet up with 49, and then
okay.
through the Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
Kansas
you could
City, and then
bypass-
up.
Yeah, you could bypass St. Louis.
11 hours and 18 minutes.
Not a bad drive at all.
Not too bad. No, not too bad. Probably would be more difficult to fly through regional airports. Although Oxford is not very far at all. Away from
Memphis used to have a direct into Lincoln for a few year period. They do
Wow.
not anymore.
Wow. Memphis doesn't have a direct to Omaha. I don't know why it would.
Yeah, no, there was like a thing for a bit.
What was the thing?
They had like some sort of deal. An airline was flying direct from Lincoln to Memphis, and it lasted like
Probably
it was like a
United.
2-year thing.
Was it another one of those fake airlines?
No, it was an actual airline. I don't know.
Probably
what the purpose
United.
Of, yeah, I don't know why it existed.
Weird.
I never took it, but it was one of the things of living in Lincoln is you were pretty aware of what the airline options were, and it's
Yeah.
usually Denver, Chicago, Minneapolis, and Atlanta for the longest.
Yeah, there's
time.
like a Delta flight, there's a
And
United
then,
flight, there's
weirdly,
an
you'd have
American flight, and then
Houston.
there's the random new airline of the week that comes in.
That was just Redway, and that lasted.
No,
for,
but there's Breeze Town. Have you
that's
heard
a
of?
new one now, right?
Yeah, that's gonna
Yeah.
be gone soon.
I don't believe in it, but good for Lakin.
All right, we'll come back with Jacob Padilla on the other side on 1620 The Zone.
Good luck with that, Dance.
Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go.
Jacob Padilla, Herd at Sports, your source for Creighton hoops and Packers banter. Jacob Padilla on Happer and Schaefer, 1620. The Zone.
All right. We're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Jacob Padilla from Herd at Sports. Jacob, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing right.
All right. So one thing that we were ruminating about earlier, I don't know how much you know about their entire situation, but Kentucky now with Momcilovic, does this work? Is this a picture that makes sense to you on paper?
Well, so Momcilovic is a perfect fit for the way that Mark Pope wants to play,
right,
or at least has played previously, based on the season that he had last year. This is the kind of guy they didn't really have last year. It was a really good player, good shooter, but they obviously got Moreno coming back, got him to pull out of the draft. So it's a guy coming back for his second year, can build on what he did as a freshman. Like it's probably enough to do kind of what they need to avoid disaster, because that's the direction it was looking like, just based on how many guys they struck out on, and the fact that their head coach was having like fireside chats with the fans, responding to
totally
their
weird
failure. That was certainly interesting, and not something I've seen before. But I think the way the roster is coming together, like they'll have a chance to compete and be a top 25 team, and we'll see where they go from here. They're at least investing in guys with a better bill of health than what they did last year, where their point guard and their center that they banked on both came in with injury issues and both barely played for them. So that's a lot of wasted money last year. Obviously spending a lot this year again, and we'll have to see if Pope can kind of get these guys playing the way that he wants to play, and get back to kind of what made him a successful coach in year one, where he kind of surprised a little bit, and obviously what he did at BYU.
Jacob, we are in the quarterfinals of the French Open. I am told you are someone who enjoys tennis. What are your thoughts with the carnage that we've seen at this event so far, and who do you expect to sort of come out of it?
Yeah, it's been wild. Just really rough go for the Americans, obviously, with really all of them gone on both sides. At this point, like I'm just kind of, I guess, invested in the teenagers that are going on the men's side, and I'm watching one right now, and things are slipping away from Hodar against Zverev. I think at this point, just based on the way that they've been playing, you kind of have to just favor the top seeds on both the women's side with Sabalenka and right here with Zverev on the men's side. Those two are both playing at a really high level, but it's been wild. Really sad to see Tiafoe go out the way that he did yesterday, considering kind of the opportunity ahead of him. But just like a lot of others weren't able to take advantage of the heavy hitters bowing out, or in Alcaraz's case, not even competing.
So I guess, does this make sense that, okay, I had a tennis thought. If I had a tennis thought. We are in the post Nadal era. He would win this tournament every single year.
Yeah.
Right. So now it's just like completely wide open to everyone.
Alcaraz, I think.
Yeah, it would be
years,
Alcaraz,
but he's hurt.
Yeah.
He's the new Nadal.
Okay. Is this true, Jacob?
Yeah. We're basically at a point where you go into every major thinking, all right, if it's not Sinner or Alcaraz, then something strange has happened. And in this case, an injury happened for Alcaraz, who wasn't even able to compete. And then Sinner, yeah, he had the cramping issues, I believe, which we've seen from him before. Obviously, Djokovic
isn't what he was in his prime, and also had some issues getting through here. But that was again another marathon match. Granted, some of these happened well before I got up, so I have not been watching every single match. But I've enjoyed the ones that I have seen. I think obviously Hodar right now, Spanish teenager, he's been really impressive. But I was really enjoyed watching Fonseca, another 19-year-old who he's got the other is in the quarterfinals here as well. On the other side of this half with Zverev and Hodar. So that'll be the next guy. Like if you're just looking for guys to watch and enjoy tennis, tune into that match because that kid's pretty talented and has a chance to be something down the line. But yeah, it's pretty much it's Alcaraz and Sinner's world, and everybody else is just hoping for a chance.
So
and they're both quite young, so it'll be that way for a while.
I promise we will get to basketball and Creighton's new commitment and all of that here shortly. But one last thing as we finish up the tennis talk that we almost never have on this show. rank the majors for me. Like which one's your favorite to which one's your least favorite out of the four slams, I guess, if you would.
That's a good question. For me personally, I guess just rank them in order of easiest to watch because I am not getting up at 5 a.m. to watch tennis as much as I enjoy it. So you can just kind of slap those in that way. I will say the French is kind of like the lack of video review and that they use like smudges on the clay. That is a little odd to me. I don't know how exactly it works and how everybody just accepts it. Seems like a very strange way to make calls. So I guess we'll put this one last just for that purpose. But yeah, I mean, there's not like I'm not in the weeds enough in tennis to really like differentiate between the surfaces in terms of what I like to watch. So I don't really have strong leanings. So yeah, I'll just go back to this closest to American time zone, and I'll go out from there.
Jacob, London Dada is a guy who's come up a couple times. We've talked about local basketball prospects, and the profile has certainly gone up over the last year here. Had offers from pretty much all the local regional type of high major schools at this point, and he ends up selecting Creighton. Tell us about him as a player and what Creighton's getting here and how Creighton ultimately sealed the deal with him.
Yeah, I've gotten to see quite a bit of London. I'm helping coach his summer team, this year, I guess spring team for now, until we get back for July. But yeah, I've been so impressed. I've kind of watched him throughout. He started with Nebraska Supreme, so I got to see a ton of his games, 15U. Went to ETG last year to play on the 3SSB, and is now back with Nebraska Supreme playing with us. A bunch of guys that he's played with for a long time and good friends with. And his progress has just been amazing. Little bit of a late bloomer. He was a good player coming up, but didn't really play. It was basically a student varsity. Didn't really play as a freshman. Sophomore, kind of a nice spark off the bench, started to show some things. And then last year really kind of emerged as one of their go-to guys alongside a senior in Emery Geddick, who going to Augustana. So D2 talent there. And just kind of been steady progress. He had his breakout last summer on in the Adidas events. And that's kind of when the attention really started to come, just showed what a high-level shooter he had become. And obviously at his height, there's a lot to like there. And then, like I said, I think it's just continued steady progress. And I mean, if you're a Creighton fan, you can go check out my Twitter. I've got highlights up from him from our summer team. I just went and watched him play against Callan Steinbeck at Abraham Lincoln in Summer League last night, who Nebraska offered a few weeks ago. Kind of a similar-esque player in terms of kind of a long wing that can shoot. That I think the next level, once he gets to college and gets in a strength and conditioning program, that will unlock a lot for him. And that's the case with London as well, where and he's got so much upside just as he continues to add strength, because he's really rounded out his game. Like his ability to kind of create his own shot, to attack closeouts and get to his spots, to score in the post at tough fadeaways. He's kind of really worked on it, kind of up and under. So like he's continued athleticism wise, continued to develop, and again, he's 6'8". So there's a lot to like there. First and foremost, a shooter, but he's really developed, and I think he's a guy that Creighton fans should be excited about.
We get the Knicks Spurs beginning this week with the NBA Finals. Besides Wemby, what are you most watching for in this series?
Well, it starts with Mitchell Robinson, and kind of, is he going to be a factor at all? Obviously, with the broken hand, that is certainly an issue. He's not a guy that you have to worry about shooting the ball, and it certainly can't hurt. Like his free throw shooting can't get any worse. But like this is a really quick turnaround for a guy with that kind of injury. And so will he be able to play? Will he not? If he does, what will he give them? Because he's been really good for them, and obviously has been a huge piece of just kind of the different ways that they can play. But I think the Knicks' ability to play 5 out and to really, especially when they take hard off the core, and you got Shamet out there, and they go a little bit smaller, and they got 5 guys out there that can really shoot, drive and shoot. It'll be interesting to see how San Antonio combats that, and who Wemby guards, and kind of how they handle that, because in OKC there was always somebody out there that Wemby just didn't really have to respect, and so that he could essentially play the one-man zone, and was always there in the paint every time the Thunder tried to do anything. The Knicks can put out lineups where that's not the case, or you can put a Deuce or Shamet out there and slide OG to the 4, and obviously with Cat's ability to shoot from the perimeter and to put the ball on the deck, now that becomes really tough to guard, and that's part of why the Knicks have been so good offensively. So that, I think, is going to kind of be the key to the series. Like, what answers do the Spurs have for that? And if they have a pretty good one, then I think San Antonio is going to win. But that's ultimately kind of the big edge that the Knicks can create against the Spurs that they haven't really run into yet.
How many games?
Oh boy, the Knicks are playing really well
know.
right now.
Yeah, it could go.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping for a 7-gamer.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
I'll just conservatively say 6. But yeah, the Knicks are very live in the series, and I feel a lot more strongly about the Knicks than I did previously. But you still do kind of have that, like, well, as good as they've been, it hasn't been against something like Wembanyama, and he's unlike anything else, certainly anything in the East and anything else in the league. So that, while I talked about their chances, what they can do to try to combat that, they still got to go out and play well enough and take advantage of it. And then you got to figure out offensively kind of how to slow him down as well. So we'll see. I think Spurs, a little bit of time. Hopefully they're getting healthier. And we can see both these teams at close to full strength. Obviously, you've got the Robinson thing I know talked about, but hopefully you can see Fox a little bit more like himself, and then Harper as well, because I just want to see these two teams at full strength going at it.
Me too. Jacob Padilla from Herd at Sports. All right, Jacob, enjoy the start of the finals. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good.
Jacob Padilla from Herd at Sports. 6 games is what everybody says when they don't know. You
I have
just
5 games.
X in 6. So you are confident about somebody, and my guess would be from Joey that somebody is not the Eastern Conference representative.
I'm with Joey. Give me 5. Give me Spurs.
I want 7 and bing bong. Bing bong.
Bangs on the mic.
Bing bong. Yeah, that was an accident. Maybe a coincidental,
That's a good sounder.
Give me bing bong in
Give
7.
you Bing Bong.
Absolutely. I party with all the New Yorkers in the streets.
Yep. Could be a real New York thing. You get St. John's, you got the Knicks in the finals.
Then we go back to the Big East tournament next year,
then
and we see the banner up in Madison Square Garden that says the Knicks won the finals.
You get the Sewer Boys.
We
And
go
the
to
Super
the
Bowl.
random corner ball field where St. John's plays, and we see a CWS banner.
I don't. Crazy potential
That would be
times.
fun.
I think they're gonna do it. I do.
I don't know. Maybe I'm more confident in the Knicks than I am in St. John's.
Oh, okay.
Baseball.
All right. I think they're gonna be here. I think you're gonna be jacked about having St. John's representing the Big East.
Fine with me. Less prep. All right. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, it's time to finally get this. Time to finally ditch this MLB topic off of our sheet here. So last week, the MLB owners proposed some things to the MLB Players Union about some of the framework of what could be the next new CBA. It is widely assumed at this point that we are going to end up with a work stoppage in baseball prior to the 2027 season. Here is a great look at why some of the things that are being proposed, as what usually happens when in CBA negotiations, are quite radical and different, and ultimately we end up in a compromising state, I think, for both sides. But the difference here is, and a lot of times when we get work stoppages, is that they are very, very far apart. So Major League Baseball, their owners, proposed a hard salary cap to players union officials late last week. They proposed these are all manageable and workable numbers, but the first proposal from the owners was a salary cap and a salary floor. A salary cap at $245 million and a salary floor at $171 million for your roster at any given time. Doing the math last week, there were 6 teams that were above the salary cap in baseball, and there were 15 teams that were below the salary floor.
Cleveland is like 90 million below the salary floor. Now, I don't know. It includes player benefits. I don't know how much money that adds into this.
I'm just going off of the actual total payroll. Yeah. So the 15 teams below. By the way, it's amazing that we have. I suppose I could do the allocations.
You on Spotrac?
Yeah, I love Spotrac.
Love Spotrac.
Great website. It's amazing that we have 6 teams that do not have $100 million payrolls this year.
Yeah. It's embarrassing when one of them.
Now, that used to be like the threshold of like, oh my God, they have a $100 million payroll. There are teams with $300 million payrolls.
Right.
Okay. So the Marlins, the Guardians, the White Sox, the Nationals, the A's, and the Cardinals each do not have $100 million payrolls.
4 of those teams are effectively very competitive this year. 5 of those teams.
I don't know.
The only one that really isn't is the Marlins.
And so that's the thing that like some teams have figured out how to live this way.
My team has, and I hate it.
It's not pretty. Tampa, who is another team that we mutually have a distaste for because they've figured out how to game their way. Their new thing is bunting, by the way. Have you heard that they brought back bunting?
They're like getting credit for putting the ball in play, which is what the stupid Guardians did in 22 and 24 on their way to like the ALCS.
Folks, have you heard about the 2014 Kansas City Royals?
Right. The credit the Rays get for doing stuff that's already been done.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Colorado, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Seattle, and Baltimore, each below that floor threshold.
Yeah.
And the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, Toronto, Philly, and Atlanta above the cap at this point. So if you're above the proposed cap, congratulations. Your team spends money and enjoys doing so. Might not spend it in very smart ways. Shout out to the New York Mets, but spends money. Or either does that in a very, very creative way, like the Dodgers, who just decide to pay all their players $5 now and $8 billion later.
Which somehow
is legal.
Yeah. It won't be under that cap system, I would assume. Stuff would be grandfathered in, but other things would.
Are we actually going to get a salary cap and a salary floor out of this?
I mean, I think there's enough interest.
The other thing that was proposed, I think this is important, by the way. The other thing that was proposed is the pooled television rights across the board, which would really flatten out
obviously
part of the reason why LA.
I don't know why the Dodgers would do that.
They do not want to.
So, like, I guess, is that like a majority owners vote thing? But the thing is, they're part of the ownership group, so they're part of who's offered this, like that. So that they have effectively.
We have a long way to go.
Yeah,
we have
definitely
a long way to go. I don't know where this turns out, but it's definitely leading to a work stoppage,
which will be great for the sport, which is enjoying another good year.
It is. And it's a fun watch right now.
Yeah.
Unless you're a Royals fan, I guess. Here's John. Why can't we ever get lucky enough for the NBA to have a work stoppage?
We did. It was after an incredible NBA playoffs. We didn't start the 2012 season. And then the Lakers traded for Steve Nash and Dwight Howard.
Yeah. Was that the Chris Paul trade year where that one got
a couple
blocked?
years earlier. I think that was earlier. But then it was I could be wrong on that.
Isn't that part of what caused the whole thing? So when people are yelling at their radio right now, like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you could not remember this." There was a Chris Paul
December of 2011. You're right.
Yeah, I thought it caused.
And that
part
was
of
the
this.
season had started.
Yeah,
and then they were trying to make that trade because the league owned the Hornets, I think.
Yes,
and they blocked it. They blocked their own trade attempt.
Work stoppages are back, folks. Get ready for it. All right, that will do it for us today, and we do have to start our new final segment soon, which is the box scores segment, which we got to put together for tomorrow. But that'll do it for us today. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Let's do a crossover with Matt coming up next.